Friends.
That is Cool in the Motherfucking Gang, who just faded out on us. Just did a nice fade. It is Bennington. I'm Ron Bennington. There's Gail Bennington.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
That could be like our new catchphrase.
Yeah. Hello.
Just hello. 866-766-0339. Call us if you just want to say hello. There's Joey Jojo. Joey Jojo.
Hello.
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 Hello. And we have Stanley in the house.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, I feel like I'm being teased.
Well, it's not so much you being teased, but we just got to really hammer your
Yes.
catchphrase. You know, if we want to get hello to take off.
That's my thing. I
Yeah.
always say hello.
Yeah.
Everyone. Hello.
Well, it got rid of my old one, which was ahoy. But when we did that, it was pirate radio. It was all pirate radio at the time.
Ahoy's probably better
Actually, I did know there was this Key West station that was on. We were on in the mornings and they were on in the afternoon, and it used to, their opening thing sound like a boat was pulling up, and there was like a bell going off, and it was like, oh, we're going to be catching rock or whatever. They were just into this seafaring way. And
It's hard to keep up with that bit, though.
yeah, it is.
It's really exhausting.
Right.
Uh-oh, man overboard.
But you know what? Yeah, you know what's easy to work? Hello, everyone.
Hello.
It's the show that sounds like it's fallen into a pit and is just seeing if anyone can help us.
It's a very friendly catchphrase.
I got to figure out. Stanley and I just had words about the stupid app.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta take Stanley off of that. I don't know who to put onto it. I put Joe on the deal the other day, and he never did get a hold of the guy.
I emailed him again this morning. Still no response.
I talked to him last night, so he's probably done with you.
Oh no.
But I would put you on the app. But you know, my thing with the listeners, like when I started here, there wasn't an app anyway. I don't understand why anyone ever needs an app.
Right.
Just listen to the show. But apparently, everyone only listens to shows now after they happen. So they need their app. Our app doesn't, you know, whatever. We got to get to the bottom of it.
Once you establish a new technology, you can't take it away from people.
You can't take it back. I'm happy enough with an old-fashioned landline phone. You know, I go out, I use an outhouse if I have to drop heat. You know, I'm happy with it. That's the way I came into this. Dan in Texas, Dan. Oh, now it's the Seinfeld hello.
La, la, la.
Yeah, that's what we've... Seinfeld, there's a piece up on the iBank today. I guess Seinfeld did the Seth Meyers show last night. And Seinfeld has had it with the PC people out there. And he did a bit where he could tell the people didn't like it because he used the word gay French king. And he's not putting up with the PC thing. I would always say to Jerry, what about the last 35 years of your career where it seemed like you PC'd yourself?
Yeah, I'm pretty shocked having this come from Jerry Seinfeld.
Right.
Who's pretty much the most PC comedian going. I mean, I thought that was his thing.
I don't like people who cuss.
Yeah. What is he not able to say?
Ballsack. I've always wanted to say ballsack, Kramer. So he's, he's mad at these college kids and their PC thing. It just gets worse every day. And he wants to really go out there and push the envelope the way he's done all these years.
Maybe the joke just didn't go over.
I don't know, but he's had it. I guess that's the, when you are a mainstream comedian, you wait until the other comedians say that something's there, and then you're like, I'm with you. We need to be out there and push the edge.
There's a lot of comedians who are getting away with not being PC, though. Like,
Well, I never wanted to say master my domain. I wanted to say jerk off. We're having a jerk off contest, Kramer. It just seems like he was the guy that always, you ever notice when you're getting your penis licked? He never has been that guy. But now he is that guy.
I'm ready for it. Unleash, Jerry. We're ready for this.
Yeah, man. Bring it on.
Shock us, Jerry.
Yeah.
No one saw this coming. This is the craziest out of left field thing.
But here's the thing. You can't say I'm pushing things, right? And then get upset when the audience isn't with you.
Right.
You know? You can't be like, oh, I'm heading to the end and not expecting the other people in the back seat to scream, we're going to fall. We're going to fall, Jerry.
It's your job, Jerry. Convince us.
This is Jerry, just this fucking edgy Bill Hicks, Sam Kinison kind of guy.
Who knew?
Who knew? Who knew? I guess the PC people also don't like the 1%, so he probably hates them for that as well,
Sure.
though.
Well, I'm personally ready for this Jerry Seinfeld heel turn. I think it's going to be great.
It's been coming. We've all seen it for quite some time. Royale with cheese.
Hello.
It's a great catchphrase, guys. It's really going over.
Now this is Maureen Bennington.
Yes. Hello. I just want to say hello.
Are you really a Bennington?
Well, I like to think I am now.
Okay, I like it that way.
I love your show so much. I'm so excited. I never get to hear you live, but I broke my toe, so I got to stay home from work, and I got to call in.
We are so big with people with injuries.
I know.
You know what I mean? Stay-at-home injuries. Don't worry, Joe is working on the app thing right now.
I'll have it ready. All right, Maureen.
Okay.
Joe is on the edge. So how'd you break your toe, darling?
I got up to go to the bathroom, and I couldn't wait to run back in and snuggle with my little daughter, and I smashed my toe on the door frame.
There is something about this. They say that we break our toes a lot more than we know.
Yes.
Every stub of a toe, you really is like a little break, and there's nothing you can do about it.
No, there isn't.
I've broke my pinky toe so many times, I think it's just like dust in there.
Oh, God. Nobody likes to think of you and your hook toe.
Perfectly good toe.
I don't think so. I don't think you're ever going to get a foot fetish to fall in love with you.
I would never want it.
What is that? What is it called when you have a fetish? Are you a fetis? What are you?
Fetisher?
The fetisher.
Fetishist.
Fetishist sounds good.
I'm so excited to be calling because there's so many times I've wanted to pipe in, but I can't because I'm listening to the old recorded show, and I'm like, one day you were looking for the name Kobe Calais. You were like that girl that she's the daughter of the guy that produced the Rumors album, and
right.
I'm screaming, I know it.
I know.
But it's
my whole team looked at me, and then I'll bring up something else. I'll just be typing away for no reason. That's the United States, Ron. United States.
That's the country we're in.
We need more people to break their toes. Then they wouldn't be complaining about this app being down.
Let's not even bring it up again. You're not even supposed to use it now. I tried to use code words with it because I already promised them I wouldn't bring it up.
When you first came on, you said, maybe someday we'll get another little girl in here for Gail to play with. And I thought, I want to be that other little girl.
You could be the little girl that comes in and plays with her some days.
Yeah.
Because, you know what? I mean, out here on the oil rig, you know?
No.
You know, and then next thing I know, we're being shot into space, and I got to save the country. And, well, the whole world, really. Summer movie. All right, talk to you later, Maureen Bennington.
All right, thank you so much.
Take care of that toesies. No more ring around the rosies. I don't get it. Hey, what's the big summer movie? Oh, it's Jurassic World this week.
It's going to be Jurassic World.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to go see Jurassic World. I still might go see Entourage. No, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back because I did not get to see the Beach Boys movie in the theater.
Yeah.
I had to watch it on
the tiny screen.
On the computer. But I think I'm going to go see it in the theater.
I was thinking the same thing. Want to see it big style, big sound. That's part of it too. Is like I feel like most movies you need big sound. It's not even big screen. That's less important to me.
You would like a small screen but really large sound.
Really loud.
Yeah. You might just want to watch it on your phone, but put a bucket over your head and just really let it just blast the shit out of you.
Jurassic World's getting trashed because they said it's too much CGI in it, which makes no sense since every blockbuster is all CGI.
Well, it's because the first Jurassic World, he used both. He had CGI, but when you saw any close-ups, it was, big mechanical head, big Disney World head. So that's what they're saying. They're saying we're the kind of geeks who want the same thing over and over. We want a Steven Spielberg movie again. But even Steven Spielberg isn't making this, These movies come out without Steven Spielberg, without James Cameron, without, the people who invented them. And then they're not supposed to give a shit because that's what geeks do. They don't care who makes it or how it looks or anything about it.
Right.
They just want it to arrive. Just let it arrive. Just bring me things. Bring me back to 7 years old. That's all I want.
Does anyone even still use animatronics for those big movies anymore?
Well, I think even when Spielberg did it then, it was rare 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I
mean, it was a smart move because it looked great. It was like, you're better off seeing things like from a distance, all the big stuff as CGI and then the up close stuff.
I still think the CGI from a distance looks like shit. When I see the city and the people walking around the city, I feel like I'm watching a video game.
It hasn't really progressed in a long time.
Not at all.
They've hit peak CGI. It's just like, it's ridiculous. Look, it's fake. It's not impressive.
I don't care for the way faces look. Anytime that they're doing CGI and you're seeing that bizarre, half human face, it really freaks me out.
Not if you happen to be half centaur.
That's true. That's probably comforting for you.
I forget who said, I think Ron Swanson said that all of us are half centaurs.
Really?
When you think about it. Well, we're human from the top up. So that part of us, that makes us half centaurs. Ron in Florida.
Oh, hello, Betty Good. Hey, thanks for taking the call there, Ronnie baby.
That's my job. My job is to hit this button to say, hello.
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 I figured I'd throw that Floridian kind of thing up with the pirate going on there in Key West.
What part of Florida are you living in, my friend?
I'm a truck driver. I'm driving through the Panhandle.
Oh, just driving through the Panhandle. Probably the only part of Florida that the rest of Florida feels good that they can make fun of.
Yeah.
Like, you know how people make fun of Florida on the news? That's how Florida makes fun of the Panhandle. They're like, those fucking guys are assholes.
Yeah, they definitely treat it like that is part of the South. The Panhandle is part of the South, and then the farther south you go in Florida, they're like, we're not the South anymore, we're some other weird thing.
The Panhandle is Florida's Florida.
Right.
A place for them to feel better about themselves that they don't live. I was shocked when I came up here to see how just common it is for Florida to be the Polish joke of the rest of the United States.
It was horrifying moving up here. They're like, oh, you're from the worst state. I didn't know I was.
My comeback is you are. That was my comeback for everybody. Here's Brian in Golden State, where, it's really more of a state of mind. Brian, you can't be feeling so good after last night.
No, it's not a good day today. It's not at all. Everything is sort of down and depressed. We even got a little rain in the Bay Area, which is a good thing, but it just kind of makes the feeling of the city kind of, and I don't want to think that, Jinxie used up all his mojo on the Triple Crown and has none left for the NBA Finals. There's got to be something left for us.
This is the thing. He can't use his jinx to help you.
Yeah.
His jinx is just free-floating.
It's natural.
So the fact of him oh, I know, I'll say I want it to rain on my sister's wedding day, and then it'll be sunshine. No, it can't work that way.
But
nobody saw this coming. Nobody saw LeBron we saw LeBron like, oh man, he did a lot with that team, but no way can he beat the best team in the West, no matter who it was going to be.
Right.
No matter which team went there. But LeBron, much like JFK, has put the team on his back and put stuff in his mouth so he can just hold on to it. And he's doggy paddling them to the island and to safety.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing thing to watch.
But
I would really like to cram an orange arrow right up LeBron's ass to get him to slow down a little bit. But man, he's been looking really strong. It sucks.
He's been looking like best of all time strong during this thing. It's phenomenal to see. And I've seen the guy, like last night when he started to like rub at his legs, and they're like, "Oh, here he is,
right?
He's human.
This is the LeBron we made fun of years ago." Oh, what a time for you to cramp. No, there's no stopping him.
Yeah, we're just hanging on to the deepness of the Warriors bench and hoping that, as we turn, it's Thursday is the fourth game, so that's right in the middle. And,
you got to win. It's a must win now.
It's a must win. That front five for Cleveland's got to be slowing down. It's not fun, but it's going to be good games. I'll just be I will hate LeBron forever if he takes this away from.
Well, everybody can hate LeBron all they want. Nothing bothers him. Nothing.
God, I know.
I saw him on after the game, and he was wearing the Pharrell hat for some fucking weird reason. He acted like the rest of us have never seen Pharrell. You know what I mean? Like no one brought it up. Like, oh, you're making fun of Pharrell. Like he was just wearing it like it was a hat. Like he was Smokey the fucking Bear out of nowhere.
That's my thing.
Right.
All right, peace out, dude.
Thanks, man.
Do you think that Golden State played poorly, though? Or you think...
I think it's been LeBron.
Yeah.
It's been LeBron to me. I mean, you could always... whoever loses look like they're not playing well. And I've come to hate Steph Curry's little girl that everybody loved at first.
You're against her now?
I think she's a jinx. I think she's a filthy, stinking jinx. And she's brought that team down. But, you got a winner and a loser every night. And we didn't expect to see this. He's playing phenomenal. He's basically the American Pharaoh of human beings.
Yeah.
In those last 2 minutes, Steph Curry did all he could to fucking put that team back, but they just couldn't. They couldn't keep up.
Well, what about the other fucking rest of the game?
Yeah.
He did all he couldn't do. He needs to hit fucking points then too, and not just being such a goddamn. Oh, I got the ball. I better fucking put it up. I should just be shooting no matter where I am, no matter what the coverage.
My question is, can LeBron beat Secretariat? And
in a race? Yes. In basketball, I don't know. That's the difference. Both of them do not break stride when they shit. That's the amazing thing. That's how edgy I am! Hey, cocksuckers, it's me, Jerry!
I'm offended by that.
Good! I'm fucking edgy! I have coffee in a car with a Camry. I have a different car for every day. No, Jerry's edgy. He's already let us know. He's not putting up with the PC thing.
Jerry, we live in a post-Caitlyn world. That's the reality now, Jerry.
Well, he was actually saying to Seth Meyers, do some Caitlyn jokes. Make fun of Caitlyn. He did. I watched it. He's like, what's with you not making fun of Caitlyn? And Seth was like, I'm going to make fun. I just didn't want to make fun that first day. And Jerry was very happy with it. But Bob Costas is edgy when it comes to that. Bob Costas is outraged that Caitlyn is going to win the ESPY award. And he says it's crass and whatever. And he's not wrong, right?
Well, I mean, he has a good point because I feel like the courage there's something about, yes, okay, is it courageous to do something that, is difficult to do? Sure, but it's for her. Like when you're doing it for yourself.
It's for him before he becomes her.
Right.
It's like if somebody has one of those bands to lose weight put on. You're doing it for yourself. You're not doing it for society. You're saying, or if you go and, I want to have my wrinkles taken off my face. Yeah, you're doing that for yourself.
Right.
But here's the deal. If you want to talk about crass, it's just the fact that there's an ESPY award that's made up anyway. Right. You know what I mean? Like, there isn't, it's just like, we're going to make up a TV show and hand out awards and get stars to show up, and that's all that award is.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not official in any way. Bruce or Caitlyn Jenner haven't done an athletic thing in almost 40 fucking years. He hasn't competed as an athlete for 40 years. So the fact that he wants to have his penis split and then pushed up into his body now, let's say this. If he didn't have reality shows, you know, if this was just like a guy from back then, let's say it was Vida Blue, the old pitcher.
Okay.
Nobody would be paying any attention. Like, Vivian Blue, that's fucking weird. You know what I mean? But you wouldn't give him an award. We wouldn't think about him.
Also, so much of this has to do with the fact that he's been associated with the Kardashians. Like, that he
can bring numbers to the TV show.
Exactly.
That's all.
And
that's what it's about.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, that's what all of it, everything that Caitlyn Jenner has done has been the approach of selling a reality show, to me.
It's been carny.
Yeah. So, I mean, he certainly has a point. I don't think that I would call that courageous.
Here's what he should do. He should have his penis replaced with the zipper. The fucking county fair ride the zipper. And have people line up and pay to ride the zipper in his fucking pants. Because this is not real. It's fucking carny stuff. Nothing about this is real.
This Courage Award is just
courage.
He's covered in controversy. Michael Sam got it last year, and everyone got annoyed with that. Come on, they could just call this the marketing stunt awards.
It's all of them are marketing stunts. It's not real. There's leagues that give out awards. They don't need ESPN to do it.
Right.
This is a TV show.
It's who had the best brand this year award.
Who is the biggest star in the world, right? Who's the biggest movie star in the world right now?
Tom Cruise.
All right, let's just offer Tom Cruise an award to come in here and do our show and pick it up. That's what we'll do. We'll give out the Benny, and then we'll also give out a fistful of Bennies. We got old 1950s speed. But seriously, if someone said to Tom Cruise will do the show, but you have to hand him an award, we'd be like, yeah, we'll do that. We got an award for him. We're having it put together right now. JoJo is in the back room. Just working on it.
He's welding one together.
I got something I'm concocting right now for the Bennies.
You know what you should be concocting is a new song. We haven't had one in quite some time.
I actually have a new song.
How come I haven't heard it yet then?
Oh, well,
is the idea to surprise me on the air?
Oh, yeah, I mean, if you
Are you surprising Stanley too, or does Stanley know about it?
I had to play it for you first before we actually played on the air. I don't think we want to premiere on the air first.
Why didn't you play it for me then when I came in today?
Because I thought I'd play it for you after the show.
That's a weird time. And then if I'm like, this is great, let's get it on 3 hours ago.
Yeah. Bad timing.
No, that just isn't timing.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just say, I wasn't even thinking about his goddamn song at all? When you came in today, I did not give his song. Then we'd be coming from a place of honesty.
Yeah. I wasn't thinking of a song today.
So that's no problem. That's no problem. The truth works. It's a lot better than I was waiting for after the show. This would be like, all right, it's the Super Bowl, and I say to the team, after the game today, I got some plays for you, some trick plays. Okay, so that way if we lose, we can look back at the trick plays and wonder why I didn't tell you earlier.
This has to be a place of honesty. You're never going to win a Benny with that kind of behavior.
If I was a quarterback, I would always say this before every play. All right, we're in the huddle. I go, come in closer. This is a secret. Make sure you don't tell any of those guys this, but here's my plan. See what you think of it. You guys are going to run down as far as you can, and I'm going to throw the ball to you.
Okay.
Got it? Don't tell them. Make them think we're doing something else. David.
Hey, Bennington. Hey, was what Bruce Jenner did even brave? I mean, what about all the thousands before him that got their brains beat in, gays and trans, that paved the way Plus, he waited until he could benefit from it and profit from it. If he'd have done this years ago, maybe he could have helped someone who got their brains beat in. He did nothing. He did nothing brave.
Yeah, it does sound crazy, but it would have been incredibly brave, since he felt this way the whole time, to do this at the Olympics.
Right.
That would have been fucking phenomenal. Or even if he didn't want to ruin the Olympics for himself, he shows up at the Wheaties box, just saying that it's me, Caitlyn, and I eat Wheaties.
He waited till everyone else paved the way for him.
I mean, I think that he would, or she would cop to that. You know what I mean?
In that interview, the thought of reaching other people was like an afterthought. Like, it was brought up, like, and do you hope to inspire other people? Oh, yeah, sure, that too, I guess.
Huh? What other people?
I like makeup.
I'm trying to think about these nails.
Having said that, when I watch the ESPYs and she comes walking out there, it's going to be great TV. And that's all this is about.
Right.
It's great TV. It's nothing else. And she is going to walk out with her new teats and her nails and her hair and
cocktail
all those football players and boxers and anyone who would have fucking bullied a tramp their entire life will then stand up, yes, Caitlyn, as one, and have a tear coming down there. Everybody will stand up but Jerry Seinfeld, because that's the way he rolls.
He's so edgy now.
Yeah, he's edgy. He's on the edge. But that part of it is pretty fucking funny. Let's go over to Josh in Los Angeles, California.
Hello.
Hello.
I love it. I don't know if it's the Seinfeld or the Mrs. Doubtfire. Rest in peace, Robin Williams.
Oh, what was her hello like?
It was like, toodaloo.
What was it?
She went like, toodaloo.
Toodaloo isn't even hello.
Julia Childs. Yeah. But I was going to say, going back to LeBron, even if he loses the series, he's still got that kick-ass role in the new Amy Schumer show.
There's a lot of people giving him saying that this thing is going to be a breakout role for him.
Oh, yeah.
Is doing Amy Schumer. So,
sure.
I think he plays Amy Schumer's husband in this movie. It's like a vacation movie. LeBron is driving like, shut up! Shut those kids up, Amy Schumer, before I pull over and fucking slam dunk them.
From what I can tell, it seems like it's a pretty big part. Like, it seems like he's going to get a lot of... Yeah.
Well, yeah, sometimes that could be all of it, though. I don't know. I've had that happen before, where I saw the trailer, and I'm like, that guy's playing a major role here. But yeah, it should be good.
If you go by the trailer, it looks like a good 50% LeBron scenes.
He's in at least 3 scenes. There's 3 different locations in the trailer. He's in he's in a doctor's office, he's in a gym, and he's in a cafe.
I just noticed now that you got a Hitler Youth haircut today. You look like 15-year-old Hitler with that hair.
It's looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's good.
Nazi hair.
I know.
Well, we're going to have to say, LeBron versus Jordan on the field, and then LeBron versus Jordan on the big screen, Amy Schumer versus Space Jam.
It is his Space Jam, and it should be pretty easy for him to beat Michael Jordan on the screen.
Right.
Michael Jordan was the least believable character in a cartoon movie.
Yes. Playing himself.
Yeah. Yeah, when you can't
I literally don't believe that you're Michael Jordan.
Yeah. When you can't pull off yourself, bad actor. Well, people love the LeBron now.
Mm-hmm.
And damn it, he's deserved it. I mean, I was weirded out early on. I'm like, you think I would be cheering for Cleveland? And I wasn't. And now I'm like, hey, Cleveland's really going to like this thing. I kind of feel embarrassed for Cleveland because, he left them.
Yeah.
They fucking like, I hate that bitch. And then she comes back like, I love her so much.
She's so great.
Yeah, like your other 4 years were just a lie. And now you're going to celebrate with the person that you called the worst human being ever.
He came back to us.
But that was a situation where he left. He wasn't traded. It was for his own.
He walked out.
Yeah.
And it was his hometown, right? So he grew up there. It's the real difference. And he was beloved there. And then he said to himself, I can't fucking win here. He went to Miami, kept going to the fucking championship games, went 2 for 4 there, you know, 5, and then he goes back to Cleveland. And we're like, oh, that's nice. Maybe someday they'll get their own little championship trophy. But someday looks like it's right now because Golden State is choking. They're literally choking in front of us.
I think LeBron should get the Courage Award for walking back into Cleveland.
I mean, if he wants to split his penis down the middle and then push it up into his crotch, that's what you got to get to do that award.
Just keep the penis whole. There's no reason to push it up.
Andy in Cleveland.
Hello. I have missed you guys. It's been a crazy month and a half that I haven't been able to listen to the show. It's been nuts.
It's the app. It's the app.
I was off enriching young minds. I was being a substitute elementary music teacher.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. It was third graders playing recorders every day.
Yeah,
that's torture.
Why is it always third grade? That's when I got the recorder too. They handed it to us.
Started.
They're like, now you're ready for the recorder.
I never got one.
It's the perfect age for this.
Yeah.
Wish I would have got one.
I remember I said to my parents, like, you're coming to our recorder thing, and this would have been their third time showing up. And they're like, I don't know if we can make it. We were at your sister's and your brother's recorder concert. I think it sounds. And I'm like, I really want you there to hear. And they're like, we're not going to be able to tell which one's you because everyone does. There's no solos, and it's really bad.
I would be standing for like 2 feet in front of them, and I could not tell who was screwing it up and who was playing it right. It's actually impossible, and it is, I think, a mild form of torture.
So what's up with you, Andy?
Not much. Keeping busy, though. In the middle of all that, I got to hang out for a day with Nick Kroll. I did a little one-day shoot with the film he's doing out here in Cleveland. That
Please
was a lot of fun.
Don't tell me that you're playing the Too Much Tuna guy. That would kill Gurion.
No, I'm a bartender who has I'm a gritty, grizzled bartender who is just has one line and takes a drink. So,
what's up, fucker? Doing your one
pretty
line.
much it, right there. That's it. That was just like stare at the camera, like you're.
What's the name of this movie that you're in?
It's called My Blind Brother, and it's based from what I can tell from the little I had of the script. It's about a guy who's basically just fed up with being his blind brother's wingman. So
he's a blind dude?
Yeah, I think Nick Kroll plays the brother. Jenny Slate was on set that day too. I didn't get really a chance to meet her that much, but
everybody loves Jenny Slate.
Yes.
She's adorable. Like, she walks in, she just brightens up the room. She's just fantastic.
The weird thing is I dull up a room when I walk into it, and I wish that didn't happen.
You just get dull in here?
Yeah. Did the sun go away?
Yes, Ronnie, you are a storm cloud. You are a storm cloud.
That's how I feel.
You bring the lightning.
All right, my friend.
Well, hey, listen, this thing in Cleveland, it isn't just all about LeBron. We've got a new hero here, Dellavedova, man, or Deli as they're calling him out here.
Yeah, that's real nice. Guess where he'd be without LeBron? Hero. Yeah, it's fun to have that, it's fun to be Ringo, but I'm watching the games.
He died for 2 balls. Great.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and I give him all the credit in the world. And if they traded him right now, there wouldn't be any difference. Seriously, Andy, you could go down and go, I think I'll play for him, and it would go the same way. But it's nice that, have a white dude to jump for. I would. You know what I mean? If I was in the crowd, I'd be like, that white guy's doing pretty good, too.
Deli!
He's got a lot of heart. That white guy has a lot of heart.
I like how white he is.
That was the only way they described him after the game. Deli's got so much heart. Just over and over and over again.
I was looking at Deli and I was like, did he escape from an upstate New York prison? That story, I don't know how it's playing. But, when you have 2 killers out, and 2 killers are on the road, and their brains are squirming like a toad, It's an old-fashioned excitement. It just doesn't happen too much in these days.
Yeah, it's wild that someone can break out of a prison in this day and age.
Like they did, too, with like power tools. It looked like Shawshank Redemption, where they just cut into a hole.
I don't know if you saw Tim Robbins on fucking... And he says, please stop comparing it to Shawshank. And then he also said to the news, stop calling me. He said the second these guys broke out, his phone is ringing, CNN, Fox, ABC, everybody. And he's saying to them, well, first of all, it's not like Shawshank because Shawshank was a movie.
Yeah.
Okay? And the guy in Shawshank was innocent, and these guys are actually convicted killers. And he's like, I don't want to comment on it.
What would be the point of calling him? Just like, so do you like this since you did this once in a movie?
Why did Stanley go immediately to it? You know what I mean? It's something that we all do instead of thinking. We all go, oh, what is this like before? And then we go, oh, I got it. It's something else. You know what I mean? And he said that his phone just started ringing off the hook. We'd like to put you on the news tonight. He's like, I got nothing to say to you. I don't have anything to do with these dudes.
Didn't actually break out of a prison.
So this is the exciting part. The way they got the power tools and all and why it's different is this middle-aged woman who was working there that apparently fell in love with him, one of them. And she was supposed to drive the getaway car and apparently had a panic attack, freaked out, and they had to run off on their own, like in a fucking weird Three Stooges movie. And then she put herself in the nut hut, like immediately when it happened. So they all knew who helped. She just fucking freaked out and went in a nut hut and said, I'm crazy.
Oh my God.
Now,
it is like a movie, though. It doesn't seem like something that would happen in this day and age.
I don't know the last time we've got the security thing down so strong now that you shouldn't be able to pull off this. And you haven't been able to pull off this in many, many years. So these dudes are lost, and they've got an army of cops out that are just like going up to every bush upstate New York and kicking it to see if anyone gets up and runs. I mean, there's just thousands of these cops out. And I don't know whether they've heard of airplanes or trains or cars, but I don't think that these guys are laying in the weeds somewhere.
I saw one of them just had binoculars out. Like, now you're looking at a very specific small part instead of looking at the big picture. Like,
it seems like what they need is to say, if anyone knows where they are, we'll give you $100,000. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
They're doing this with friends somehow.
Let's check every open field in the area to find these guys.
I also saw on the news, it was so bizarre that the prison had tweeted out a picture of them looking like where they had broke out, saying like, retracing the steps right now. And I'm like, how weird is this that we actually need a tweet from them? Like, here's what we're doing.
This is what happens though, because you forget, you think of it as, like, if you look at something, you think it's Nabisco, right? Like you think some company, because every once in a while, a company will just tweet something ridiculous. But then you realize, oh, it's the guy who just used to be an assistant to the receptionist, is now running social media. So he just writes, I'd bang that. You know what I mean? Like he would to his friends. They're fucking... Well, I can't use that word in the PC world.
I know.
They're special needs.
You're no Jerry.
Seinfeld.
Can't get away with that.
No, I'm not out there where Jerry is. Eric in Kentucky.
I don't understand the power tool thing, man. How did no one in the prison hear power tools cutting through concrete and metal?
Because those motherfuckers are... It's so loud in the prison. That's why I would kill myself. For the echoing loudness of a prison.
Terrifying. It's like living hell.
Oh, it is.
It's just like voices screaming all the time.
But voices carry. I mean, when they did that fucking video, it should have been in a prison, because that's where they really carry.
I asked them to hush, hush.
Yeah. They wouldn't listen. They won't she just shut her mouth? But that is exciting. And so we got that cop story of all the cops working together as one. And then the Texas cop who immediately quit when the video of him throwing the young girl in the bikini down and sitting on her took place. Even I've never even seen the other cops say, well, that's fucked up, the way they did down there.
That guy was acting insane, though. Even before...
Like when he came running in?
Yeah, and he actually did like a barrel roll, and there was no need for it. It was just a bunch of teenagers.
No, it could have been in... that barrel roll was seriously out of Tommy Boy. I mean, that was just dumb as shit. But it was very funny when the other cops were just like... oh, he's kind of an idiot and he quit. He's out of here. He didn't. We're embarrassed. For me, the scariest thing of all takes place right here when he pulls out a fucking handgun. I look at the other two cops.
They're like, chill out, dude.
The other two cops just run up on him and touch him like, dude, we're not shooting kids. Not today.
They're children.
Oh, here he is in a girl in a bikini. But only one person stuck up for him, Anthony. But other than that, even the other cops went, that's too weird.
Yeah, and he also, if he hadn't been behaving so insane beforehand, like, it's obvious this guy is crazy.
Yeah, he's gone. The worst thing that's ever happened to cops is smartphones and GoPros. They have changed police work forever.
Well, everybody was saying we've got to get these cameras on all the cops, right? Like they have to always be wearing cameras on them at all times.
Now we're saying you don't even need to because all the other people have them.
But clearly it doesn't modify their behavior in any way because they know all these people are standing around filming and he still pulled a gun on a 14-year-old.
See, change takes time. And, he's one of the guys that is not, moving quickly on. He's a guy who, has shown up for work for years, thinking to himself, I might have to jack somebody up today.
Right.
But that is not going to be the peace officer of the future.
I feel like so often people defend cops by saying, like, hey, if you were in his shoes and you had all these kids surrounding you and they were going crazy, like, you would probably pull your gun out too. Which is why I'm not a cop. This should be something that you're trained not to do. I understand that I wouldn't know how to handle that situation. I'm not a cop.
But see, even the Ferguson cop looked up and said, that guy's a fucking idiot. The Baltimore cops were like, I don't know, he was in the suburbs, kids had towels and were in bathing suits, and you're supposed to do this, move along or I'll call your parents. I mean, this is the first time that most people, like if you're a regular person in this country, and by that I mean a white guy, and you watch Ferguson or Baltimore, you can't really relate to it.
Right.
But you know what it's like when the pool party is done and you haven't moved on yet. That you're out there like, where's everyone going? For pizza? Or you going to the mall? Jeff, why can't we go to your house? You're a dick. I mean, everyone has done that, and then the cops roll up, and, somebody's like, what? What did we do?
He was dropping gear.
Yeah, he was a character. But I think it's really funny that none of the other cops even stuck up for him.
That never happens.
They stick up for each other constantly.
Like that's their thing, the blue line of silence or whatever. They just all they do is stick up for each other.
Let's see. Liz says, I sound a little stuffy. Can V get you an icy juice or some emergency? Or is she too busy with the freaks? Well, all you need to do, and Elizabeth is right too, if you are a cop, warning shots.
Yeah.
Constant warning shots.
That'll teach them.
I put the first warning shot in their leg. Just bam.
This is not a warning. You shot me.
Not so tough now, are you? Are you, Stumpy? I'm going to call you Stumpy because you might lose your leg.
Wasn't acting tough.
Not calling an ambulance.
Well, you're sitting there with your towel around your shoulders on a day like this where you know I'm hot and sweaty. I've got 30 pounds of gear on. That's what he yelled at them. You think it's funny to make me run around with 30 pounds of gear? That's the only reason I barrel rolled. I was fine.
I would say to him, no one else is running.
Yeah.
Take a look at the other cops. No one else is running.
Everybody is chill. It's just that the fucking party just ended.
At the end of the video, he starts yelling at these two kids, telling them why they can't leave. But you actually see that they're not wrong. Like, you actually see them arrive. Yeah. And they're trying to say, hey, we just came for a birthday party, man. Like, we just showed up. And he's like, no, you didn't. And he's like, I did.
What are you here for, crack rock? Is that it? No, our friend is 15. And we were able to go in their pool. They actually, there was this story that went out yesterday, and this is why Colin Quinn, I think, is brilliant for his new book and just forcing people to bring up race, because if you talk about any race at all, it's racial, right? You know what I mean? But they said that private pools, people owning pools, did not become a thing in this country until they were forced to segregate the public pools. Oh. That private pool usage, suddenly everyone's like, well, then I'm getting my own fucking pool where I know who's swimming in there.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
I
never heard this before.
Jesus.
Yeah, I saw this the other day. I guess it's one of those freakonomic things that the guy tried to bring up to us yesterday, and then I don't believe ever sent to us. Oh, maybe I forgot to check the Bennington show, though, huh? Nah, I'm not keeping up.
You need to get that forwarded.
Yeah, I gotta forward things. Well, I gotta forward it in the other direction. Mm-hmm. Liz says fire is correct, though. I'm sick as a fucking dog today. But you know what? I keep going like a hero. And that's why I'm gonna hit that here. Oh, I don't have it anymore. I don't have 360s anymore. Maybe Joe will just start and sing it.
That hero lies in you.
Good fucking singer.
Beautiful.
Man.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
He's a really good singer.
I can't believe it. And he drums, too, at the same time.
Well, he's a drummer. He tags stuff, like he's always got a spray can with him.
Yeah.
Walls, watch out.
A lot of stencil work.
You deserve that courage award for coming in so sick.
Well, I didn't want to come in, but we didn't have any best ofs lined up. We haven't been doing the show that long.
Yeah. Seems so presumptuous to say this is the best.
This is the best of the last 3 weeks. I hope you like it. But you know what? That thing about the private pool because you don't want to swim with the hordes. It is a weird thing about private property. You know what I mean? Like, I'll do this so I don't have to deal with human beings.
Right. I'm willing to spend this large sum of money in order to not interact.
Right. And when you think about it, that's what a car was right from the get. You know, before that, people were taking mass transit, and then, you know, they would be on their little train or fucking bus or whatever and look out, and they would just see someone so rich that they had their own little bus called an automobile. It's a bus for a family. Just one family. Oh, so then when you get out, someone else gets in? No.
It's just mine.
When I'm done, it would be like the bus just sitting outside my house.
And it leaves whenever I want.
Well, yeah, it only goes by my way. That's it. Sometimes it just cruises, looking at chicks and whistling.
And what's the schedule like?
My schedule.
Oh.
Whatever just dawns on me. Buy one ice cream. The bus goes there.
Whoa.
It's a private bus, a single family private bus. The first telephone was for everybody. It was a party line. And then some rich guy said, I want my own line. I want a party of one. Well, who else is on? Well, who's going to be talking on the phone when you're not using it? No one.
No one. Just
it
me.
sits there 23 and a half hours a day. That's it. That's what happens.
Maybe that's where how bottled water got popular. They don't want to use the water fountains anymore.
Well, if you talk about, I don't know if there's ever been another product that used to be free and now costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, let's remember, when they started bottled water, rock stars got paid a lot of money, and then you just drank some water for free. And now we're like, music should be free, but we pay for water. You see how we fucking roll here? We have turned this shit upside down.
You were just paying for this packaging.
It's from Fiji, though. This water's good.
I don't think anything is better in Fiji than it is in the United States.
I know.
You know what I mean? There's not another thing that we're like, oh, that food comes from somewhere far away. That's better than ours.
Just the surf. That's all they have going for them.
Fiji has a big surf?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't know. You looked over at Chris like he's a surfer. Like, back me up on this, dude.
I fucking kill it on the waves out there.
You know, that's the deal that we've got to deal with, though. Things change all the time. Here's Shane.
Hello. I was just curious, guys. Who do you think is an athlete that became a good actor? I'm all in with OJ.
Yeah, OJ was a fun. Actually, one thing I've learned lately is everyone is a good actor.
Yeah.
Because there's like people that I know that are like good actors now. All right.
Must not be as hard as we all think it is.
So Brad Briscoe tweeted us this. Let's see one of the Benningtons be surrounded by these apes. Yes, apes, and see how you react at Bennington Show. So now by the way, if you look at this neighborhood, this is not a bad neighborhood.
Yeah.
And these were kids after a pool party.
Yeah.
So now we can see. I mean, I think even Jerry Seinfeld, as edgy as he is, would not see these kids as being scary or violent or in terms of your, deserving in any way of your racism, Brad. These are, perhaps other than the skin color, the same children that any of us would have.
They are also asked to sit down, and if you look at the video, they're all sitting in a line as they were asked. Like, he just goes up to a group of kids who are probably being loud. They're 14-year-olds.
Yeah, and they are guilty of the one crime that all suburban kids do, loitering.
Yeah.
That is a crime of not being in a hurry. And it is a crime that an adult is never charged with, only a child. No one, if like an adult was having a pool party and people were standing out front going, where do we go next? The cops don't pull up and they're freaked out.
Hey, what are you doing here?
Well, we're sitting here talking about where we go next.
Go, move along.
This is literally youth in the summer. I remember one time we were getting the move along thing and getting yelled at and shit like this. And this, because there was some people playing like guitars and other people were singing stuff. And this fucking kid says to the cop, "Your cop car makes more noise than my guitar." And the fucking cop is just fucking laying him out after that. Like, you want to be, he's just fucking yelling. And I'm like, this fucking dick. Do you not understand that I got fucking meth right next to my nuts while you're talking about rights or whatever bullshit you've come up with?
Why'd you open your fucking mouth?
I'm fucking carrying you, asshole. Your cop car makes more noise than my guitar. Like, why are you still rhyming? Just fucking shut up.
He's got a good point, though.
Yeah.
This neighborhood actually looks kind of pretty nice.
It does.
Everything's well maintained on the street.
No, it's way nice.
Right?
It's way nice.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
It's also not that big of a crowd.
No.
The cops were called because there was a fight at the pool, which the girl who's being thrown on the ground was not involved in. So
there's like
she was
15 kids
loitering.
here.
She was just
loitering.
hanging out.
14-year-olds have nowhere to go. They're not allowed anywhere fun besides the pool.
This is the one thing that they're allowed to do.
They fucking literally at that age, you're banging in bushes like an animal at night because you have no place of your own.
You got no cash. You're not allowed to good places. For the love of God.
These children are wearing designer clothes.
Jesus.
So, Mr. Briscoe, yeah, you've outed your argument. That's the thing. If this were a scarier looking neighborhood, but pretty much it's nicer than most neighborhoods in America.
There's flower beds and shit in the middle of the street. It's really nice. That shit has to be maintained.
That's called fertilizer. That's not you don't say flower beds and shit. It's flower beds and fertilizer.
I'm going to make a note of that.
Dan in Michigan.
Yeah, Ron, you're talking about water being expensive and music being free. And something that's blown my mind in the last, few years is we have a white heavyweight champion and a black president. Who would have thought those two things would switch?
What's going on, Kramer?
So edgy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no one cares about Klitschko. The white heavyweight champion. I'm sure most people don't even know who he is.
He did not sell out Madison Square Garden the other day.
He's more famous for his wife, the cheerleader.
And she's no longer famous.
Oh, yeah.
If this was like 5 years ago, everybody like, yeah. But she can walk down the street now, too, without anybody yelling anything out.
Like, who's that short girl?
Do you ever see pictures of them together?
Yeah.
It looks like he should be arrested.
It's bizarre
No
looking.
matter what her age is.
She looks like a child next to him.
It looks like a Great Dane is with a Chihuahua. It's just two different species.
She looks like a little girl next to him. This is really weird.
Where do you keep going?
Because it's a bad link. There we go.
She doesn't make his armpit.
No.
She doesn't get up besides his armpit.
She also, first of all, she's dressed like a child as well, so it
Right.
makes it so much worse.
I don't think she owns adult clothes. She can't shop at that
Yeah,
size.
you're right. She has to shop at the Junior whatever.
Oh,
Junior
Baby Gap.
Yeah,
She goes
Baby
to
Gap.
Limited 2.
Is that the name of these things? That looks really funny because they're on the beach there, and his back is so massive that he could be fucking hiding two escaped killers up there. And what is she getting? Ice cream money out of his pocket?
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
But they've been together a while. They're happy as shit.
Yeah.
He's like petting her like a little...
Yeah.
There,
Well, she did
child.
good. Lemus, you're on Bennington.
Hello.
Guy's catchphrase catching on.
Oh, so good. Love that catchphrase. Perfect. So I was listening to you guys. Why is it that everybody's fighting and everyone's catching videos of people fighting and it's illegal and cops will arrest you for it? And but if you're good enough at it and you're in good enough shape to do it, you can make millions doing it.
Yeah, that's true, Mr. Carlin. You're absolutely right. Muhammad Ali. I'll punch people. I just don't want to shoot them. I keep looking up at this childhood picture. There's an article up on the iBank today off of when Paul Feig did the show, and he was talking about he doesn't understand why adults want to be children and not adults. And we do live in a world now where adults will go to Chuck E. Cheese without kids being there. I mean, Dave and Buster's is Chuck E. Cheese, but with cocktails.
Even more bizarre than that, I think, is people who go to Disney without kids. Like, people go to Disney...
That freaks me out.
...as a vacation, and they're an adult couple. In fact, I know somebody who had a Disney wedding, right? So it's like a Disney-themed wedding at Disney, and, like, the bride is a princess or whatever.
Right.
And they said, no kids allowed at this wedding. Their wedding is at Disney, and they said, please don't bring your children.
Well, first of all, because those weddings are so expensive that you wouldn't believe it. Like, that's one of the most expensive places.
Yeah, then have a grown-up wedding. Like, if you made that decision, but you literally picked a place for children and said no children allowed. Also, only children are going to be impressed that you're dressed like a princess and are, like, coming out of a pumpkin or whatever the fuck happens. Only a child would be like, this is cool.
It's a glass pumpkin, you must know.
Wow.
And it's pulled by horses. And that's where I want Stanley to get married.
Is that what you're going to do?
It sounds like a plan. I mean, I don't like being an adult at Disney World, though.
Why don't you get married where you spend all your time, the OTB?
I wish I could still spend all my time there. They're close. It's a beautiful Belmont wedding. I find weird that people, adults I know, just go to Pixar movies all the time. I mean, they are those are children's movies, right? Pixar films. I mean,
I wouldn't say that they're exclusively children. I mean, those things are packed 10 o'clock at night when the kids should be sleeping.
It's something they used to be for children, but I think they keep in mind that they are animating for adults.
It's an Adult Swim, if you want to be honest.
Sure.
It's completely an Adult Swim these days. I don't know if there's anything exclusively for children today. I think...
Certainly not pool parties.
Yeah. I think across the board, it's adults feel like, I also want to do this. I mean, Star Wars should be for children, but you don't hear about 7 and 8-year-olds going, I can't wait for the Star Wars to come out.
Yeah. They probably have no idea about it. Like, it's just not on their radar.
Now, let's play this game. All right, you know, and we're bringing up Paul Feig. He's making Ghostbusters, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's adults, 40-year-old adults. This is bullshit. There should be only women. And you're like, could you imagine, let's say, the World War II generation caring about any of these things?
No. And even weirder, I think, is that everything that is marketed, like any commercial, is about like getting in touch with the kid in you. And I don't think that is something that we are struggling with as a people. I think we have a pretty...
way in touch, yeah. People are like, the child in me wants some ice cream right now and cartoons. And, you know, your grandfather only said one thing. There's trouble in the mines. I've got to go. He would hear a whistle go off and jump out of bed because his friends were trapped underneath rock. And he had to get to them before the air ran out. That's the difference is in the generations.
And I understand how that's maybe not the best option, but could we maybe find some sort of nice middle ground where, you know, life isn't a constant struggle, but we don't act like a bunch of oversized babies.
We are oversized babies, though. We really are.
It's nuts. How about what we saw yesterday when we left here? The water slide in the middle of the city.
Oh, did you watch the Tonight Show?
I didn't see it. Did you see it go off?
No. I don't know if they even did the bit, but we were walking down the street, and there was this water slide, and it just said The Tonight Show, and adults were running to slide down this thing in all their clothes.
Wait, they're not even...
These are tourists. They're here from fucking Oshkosh or wherever the fuck Joey Jojo grew up. How far were you from Oshkosh, Joe?
Oshkosh is on the other side of Wisconsin. I grew up maybe 4.5-hour drive, 5 hours.
You used to just go there sometimes to get your overalls?
Go on the water slides there.
Is that where your overalls were at?
Overall, great town.
But yeah, there were things like in the 80s when they would talk about inner child and stuff like that. And it's like the only psychology that people ever like rushed to and agreed with.
Right.
Like, yes, I should take care of the baby in me. And now the baby in you has killed the adults on the outside of you. The baby now runs the show.
There is no adult.
Yeah, they just love being children.
And what Paul Feig was saying was that when you were a kid, you wanted nothing more. I mean, I know I felt that way. It was like you wanted nothing.
Here's what you wanted when you were a kid: to hang out at the track with Mitchell Walters, and you've got to do that.
Succeeded. It's exactly what I wanted.
I got a thing from Flathead last night, who said that he got a call from Bobby Slayton, who went over phone call for phone call. Tell me the truth. Was it funny or was I coming off like an asshole? Tell me which one's working. Because I'll do anything for the fucking joke. But was I being made a dick out of? He's terrible to me. I saw I'm fucking coming around the corner, and I saw that they had left you alone with Slayton during the thing. And I'm like, this is the exact opposite of being a gentleman. Leaving someone alone with Bobby Slayton. If I do anything with this team, it's going to be how to handle the guests. That's my dream.
It's a big job.
Joey Jojo, you and I have got to go over this time and time again.
Okay.
I want every day to be thoughts about that.
Okay, got it.
He agrees to everything, and I don't know whether that's true or not.
I think he means it. I
read,
can tell.
I read everything
How are you
down.
feeling about your team over there?
I like them. They're good.
All right, rank them right now. You've got 3 people underneath you.
Okay.
Rank them by worst to first.
Worst to first. Dennis, Anthony, best Dan Perlman.
Okay, so Dan Perlman's the best.
Yes.
That's a relief. I'd be freaked out right now.
I might have given it to Anthony, but he was stuck in the Lincoln Tunnel for 2 hours this morning.
I was stuck on Fifth Avenue. If I didn't have a cold, I would have got out and just started walking. But I was just so sick. I said to my driver was Idi Amin, and I'm not even making that up. And maybe I've dated myself by saying that. But he literally looked and sounded like Idi Amin. And I said to him, I go, I'm so sick. I'm going to lay on this back fucking seat. I go, but if I wake up and you're eating my leg, I'm going to fuck you up. All right? So we got it. And then I went like this. You see this 20 twin? That's going to be for you. Let me just fucking have a little time to myself back here without you starting to cannibalize me.
I feel a nibble.
Yeah. So whenever I get in a cab, I'll just go like this. I'll take whatever bill I have and I go like this. Look, this isn't going to leave with me. All right. So let's make this a really pleasant, great fucking trip for everybody. All right.
No weirdness.
No fucking nuttiness. No, I don't want to overhear you planning a terrorist thing. I want everybody to be cool. All right. No, let's get some sports on. I want to listen to some fucking sports right now. Let's FAN this shit. Let's find out what's going down. That Mets game, to me, this is the funniest thing I ever heard in my life. He throws a no-hitter, but hit 3 batters.
Yeah.
How is that better than throwing a fucking 3-hitter, but not hitting any batters? By the way, you ever notice that no one will go above 1 hitter? No one ever say he threw a 2-hitter or a 3-hitter.
It's shit after that. It's shit. It's
1-hitter is all they're going to give you. Just like with a fucking nice weed smoking apparatus. No one ever say, I got a full 4-hitter here.
Yeah.
Everybody come gather around. I got a family-sized bowl ready right now.
Everybody going to get high.
That's another fucking thing where I saw that we're being childlike. Well, motherfuckers don't know how to roll a joint, and adults smoking a bowl. When I was in 9th grade, if you tried to fucking pull a bowl out, you'd be called a chick.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know people who like, can you roll it? I've asked, can you roll this for me? Well, then I guess I'll be smoking all of it too. Thank you very much.
You don't even have to guess, do you? No matter where it is. If it's in your fucking vicinity, you're gonna have the majority of it. They'll say, will you roll my joints for me? I
swear, or joints, or blunt, whatever, right? Whatever rolling fucking apparatus is around.
It's fucking embarrassing.
I'm like, I tell them, this is pathetic. You're pathetic right now.
No, you should just sit there and go like this. Just roll it up while you're just singing spirituals like you're down south.
It's part of the gimmick. You've got to learn.
And then after that, after I smoke a lot, will you make me a sandwich? Because I get hungry.
So do I.
What am I, a fucking babysitter to you?
Just want to get high.
Seems like, it really only requires the one skill. You guys should probably master it.
Yeah, you're the one who fucking signed up for this.
Give me whatever you want. I'll roll it up. Come on. What do you need?
No, it's you, Chris. You're out there. You don't even have your weed connections anymore, do you, for your growers?
No, just Kiva Confections is a great place that sends edibles. Some delicious edibles. Kiva Confections.
Now, would you rather eat or smoke?
For a while, I was eating a lot, and I thought it maybe threw me off a little bit, so I'm back to just smoking. But,
because you would get up and you would take them every day.
Yeah, and then I stopped that.
There was a period where I'm saying to you, this was a while ago, I'm like, are you even paying attention to me?
Really bad.
There was so many days in here that you didn't seem to understand basic English.
The fucking weed food, you gotta really watch yourself with it, because it just hits you so hard.
I don't know if it's meant to be a breakfast food.
Thank you.
On the labeling, it says, this is not food. In big, bold, I swear to God, big, bold letters.
I don't know why they feel they're like, no, it's in jelly. What's it got to be in every fucking thing?
Anything you can think of that you can ingest, like it's food or liquid, is now fucking weed inside of it in Colorado and California.
But this makes it worse for people mistakenly taking your product.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if that's the thing that they've got to work out in those places, that it's always being handled responsibly so that they can keep doing it.
Exactly. I mean, look at the labeling on this. That just looks like a tin of food.
Well, first of all, that's those like little chocolate covered cherries or raisins that everyone just buys at Starbucks and acts like they're a lot more delicious than they are. You know what I mean?
This has fancy packaging, so it must be good.
Yeah, because it's really nice, but it's a fucking, it's a great tin, but then inside it's goobers. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's just a goober. And you're saying like, oh, isn't this good? Yes, it's fucking chocolate. Chocolate's fucking good on fucking dog shit.
It's a safe bet.
But this is a goober that you're now paying fucking $11 for.
I've had a raisinette before. I know what it tastes like. And to be honest, they do it better.
Yeah, the English and, well, all the Europeans couldn't be more fucking wrong than when they act like Hershey's isn't chocolate. They're like, that's not even chocolate. And then I'll go like this. Well, then whatever it is, it's fucking better than chocolate. Because I eat that dark shit that you have. And believe it, I'll have it if there's not a Hershey bar around.
Right.
But if you give me the finest Swiss chocolate next to a fucking Reese's cup, guess which one I'm gonna fucking go to while I'm watching a movie?
Are you saying you don't like incredibly bitter fucking chocolate? Are you? Is that what you're trying to say?
But that's what that is. That's chocolate. That is the actual thing that we've said. Well, let's just put a pound of sugar into it.
It's gonna make it taste like the shit.
Yeah. If you want to tell me it's not good for me, I'll agree with that. But don't say it fucking tastes better.
It doesn't. It needs the sugar. You need the preparation. I'm not gonna just sit here and eat a raw potato.
No, screw that.
You need to romance.
They have such a hard-on for their fucking 90% dark chocolate. It's ridiculous. And they really throw it in people's faces.
All right, first of all, you need to stop personalizing this and get back to the original fact that what they have is chocolate.
Yeah.
We've Hersheyfied it. We made an entire city in Pennsylvania just a place where people think, how do we take something and make it sweeter? But let's face it, anything's better when it's sweeter. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that it's good for you, though.
I couldn't imagine not eating sugar. I heard people have like the cleanse thing where they just don't eat sugar. They cut it out of their diet. I feel like I'd freak the fuck out.
I've tried it before, and it's. I'm not even kidding you. It's harder to do that than it is to kick heroin. Like in terms of what your body does. Like I don't know if you've ever been dope sick before.
I've probably had some booze things happen when I stopped.
Sugar is honestly, when you go off it, it's like being dope sick. Like the fucking nose will open up, your eyes are tearing, you're fucking cramping in times that you don't expect it.
Well, because it's a drug that you've been given since you were a baby.
Right.
Like,
it's a great baby drug, sugar.
Yeah, there isn't a baby that doesn't love it. Like you will see a baby's face, like when they have some sugar, and you see how fucking happy they get. Like, how did this just happen? You know what I mean? They're like, oh, it's like my tongue just came. That's how much they like it. And then immediately, they're like, where's more? That you gave me something a second ago. And is there more of it? They'll start to go through your pockets. Like, I would dare you to take any kid, right? And say this, I'm going to leave some M&Ms out on the table and go like this. All right, I'm going to go in the other room. Don't eat these M&Ms. You have a fucking GoPro on them, and you're going to see kids will just start, and just however they can do it. Like, you ever seen a kid, it'll be like a party or something, and then they'll see the cake, and they'll just go over and start to hang around the cake, touch it a little bit. You're like, get away from that cake. I am. And they're just touching it, licking up against it. Hey! They can't help it. They have no power over sugar.
It's pretty scary. It's a really scary drug that we're talking about. It destroys us.
It's a wonderful drug that tastes so sweet and good.
It's probably the most delicious of drugs.
Oh, yeah, easily. And it's quicker to make you feel about the pain of the human existence. And let's be honest, it's a painful thing to be a human being and being on this planet. And you're just like, oh, I'm not happy, and I miss my friends and family, and this little thing tastes so good. That's delicious. And then as soon as it's gone, like, unlike other drugs, like you could take acid and have the effect, you don't feel great on the sugar the second you stop chewing. You got to keep chewing it all the time.
It's like, oh no, I couldn't possibly. I had something sweet yesterday.
All right, DJ Famous Name said this. I emailed Chris and asked for a mailing address to send him some goodies, but he didn't write back.
I would have written back to that.
What happens to you with that, though?
I would have. I know.
You got the rep as the guy who doesn't write back.
Well, then I'm going to change that fucking rep. I don't want that rep. DJ Famous Name, I'll be getting in contact with you. And anyone else I've spurned, if you thought I spurned you, I don't want to hit that fucking rap anymore. Fuck that. I want to be known as Get Back to That Guy. Yeah, that's how I put it. Get back to that guy.
All right, hold on. First of all, you should not be apologizing from a place of anger.
I found that's my problem.
You sound...
Fuck you, I'm sorry.
Yeah. This is Chris with his girlfriend. I fucking love you, bitch. I fucking love you. And she's like, why are you mad at me then?
I love you.
Why are you yelling at me?
Yeah.
Get back to that guy.
Yeah, that's right. Get back to that guy.
So you have to. You say something that's stupid.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I better stay with this like I said it on purpose.
Yep. That's exactly what I said.
Roll with it.
I'm dying up here. I'm worse off than when I came in.
I know. It sounds like it.
Well, maybe Get Back to That Guy can get me some medicine. But this is weird. Chris is the only person I ever saw that it's weed that is inspiring him to improve his abilities. It's like the same reason that you don't get back to people and you are so forgetful now makes you want to get back to people.
I'm going to focus the mind. And the body will follow. What's so funny?
How dumb you are.
Oh, okay.
Now, you realize that Joe is just looking at you and your place in the world and thinking, it'll be so easy for me to be over there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Friday, he was amazing, and he said something to me you never did.
Yeah.
This was my favorite thing, Joe. Joe could be with me for another 800 years, and he'll never make me as happy as when I said, what about those things? And he goes, don't worry. I've been thinking about this for the last 18 hours. And that was my favorite statement any producer's ever made.
Just nonstop going over it. Going over the plays in his head.
Oh, yeah. I wrote out a list minute by minute of what needed to be done.
That's great.
Yeah.
You know, the producer I had that ever liked me the best, Tuttle, right?
Uh-huh.
Has not written to me once since we hired Joe because, you know, Chris didn't get back to him about some stuff that he was supposed to.
I thought you were get back to that guy.
Well, this is before he was.
Oh, okay.
And Chris's defense, this is when he was still whacked out eating weed in the morning guy. Why don't you just eat it like a cow? Just graze it. Why do you even put it in edibles?
It does taste kind of good weed these days.
Kind of good weed these days.
I've eaten straight up nugs before.
Oh, you just sit there and eat it?
I've eaten it before. Like, wow, it smells really good. Let me see how it... All right, I'll just eat this nug.
That's fucking weird.
It hasn't happened too many times, but it's happened.
Your Trailer Park Boys is getting one of the Fairley brothers.
This is amazing. They're shooting the 10th season for Netflix.
First of all, did you say 10th?
10th season, yeah.
They've been around for 10 years?
They've been around for 10 years, yeah.
Those guys need to grow up and move on now.
It's been around for 10 years. There's a few movies out too, and Bobby Farrelly's. This is the first time they brought in any sort of like outside
person with talent.
Mike Clattenburg is talented.
Is it one of those deals where there's more than one season per year, like Survivor? Because that's like Survivor. Like, it's our 30th season of Survivor, and I'm screamed out like, "How old am I then? Have I been in a coma?"
No, it's one season a year.
A year.
So what year did it start?
2000. Well, there was a movie in 2001, then the TV show started in 2005.
And they've just been sitting around for 10 years, still in the trailer park.
Making one season after another of Trailer Park Boys. Snoop Dogg's in this season. Doug Benson's in this season. This is their biggest season, and it's 10 years in.
Oh, sure, they got the Fairley heat.
And they got Bobby Farrelly directing episodes. It's really exciting. The last two seasons on Netflix, which have been Netflix exclusive, have been batshit crazy. And if you're a longtime fan of Trailer Park Boys and you haven't seen them, you should watch them.
And you consider yourself a longtime fan?
Oh, yeah. I've seen every episode. I've seen every movie. It's a great show. It's a mockumentary-style TV show.
Wait, no, you know what? Like, even hearing this, you're like a Trailer Park Boy geek.
Yeah, I would say I am, yeah, because like, I find out random facts about them. I just watch everything about them. I watch the original movie.
But I will say this. I don't think I've ever heard another person talk about them but you. And I'm not fucking making that up, but like, I'll be sitting around here after the show sometimes, and he's just like bringing up characters and things that happen, and I'm just like, did they? And whoever else is in here, they'll be like, wait, what is he talking about? And he has to explain it from the beginning. Now, you have to also remember, you know, we work in the comedy department.
Yeah.
And no one has heard of this show.
It's in their own little weird world up in Halifax, Nova Scotia. I mean, I don't even know, like, I've met other Canadian people and they don't really talk about it.
No.
It's weird.
People in Halifax don't fucking bring it up.
It's the craziest thing ever.
You are clearly number one fan.
Oh, I'm the number one Trailer Park Boys fan, by far. If everyone else can kiss my ass. If you think you are.
Chris will write up articles for the iBang about them, and they'll always get, like, you know, after a while, we'll be like, damn, now there's a huge amount of hits. Because no one else ever writes about them.
Right.
So that their fans from all over the world are so hungry for an article that it gets into Google News and on search engines. And if you just like Trailer Park Boys, it'll immediately go. The first thing you'll see is a Chris Stanley article. Because that's how little of love they get. But now you're saying, as the weed gets more and more legal, people are getting them more.
Oh yeah, 100%. I like these are giant stars coming on to this new season. When I saw it on their Instagram feed, and I'm like, holy shit, Bobby Farrelly's. This is great. I'm so excited.
But they never had like big names like that before. Like
they had someone. I think one of the guys from Rush came on for an episode.
You told me Juno used to be on the show.
And Juno was in the second season. That was like the second thing she ever did.
Before she was Juno.
Yeah, before Juno. She was like 12
Really?
or 13 or something.
Yeah.
It was like her second acting gig. She was on like the entire second season of Trailer Park Boys. She was Jim Leahy's daughter.
She, because she lived in Halifax.
Right.
She grew up there. So if you grow up there and you act, you're going to be on the show. Yeah. We'd love to have you come over.
There's some weirdos in the trailer park with cameras. I guess you can act over there.
Yeah, my cold's getting worse.
I know. Can you
Do people die from this? See if I've got Flathead's flesh-eating disease.
God, I hope not.
He told us all that time it was sugar diabetes. Now he's saying he had flesh-eating disease.
It really was? That wasn't a joke?
No.
How do you get that?
How do you get confused?
Because he fucking swims in a lake like a duck. I think that's where you get it, in lakes.
That's how it happens? That's the bacteria?
Wow, I make up a lot of shit.
Oh, okay.
We can't go by me.
Everyone, get out of the lakes. There's much being diseases everywhere.
I've actually seen that, though, like signs that say, please don't swim in here. There's flesh eating.
Well, that's Florida, because Florida gets, because it's hot on those lakes, that they start to grow new life that fucking doctors have never heard of before. There's this algae will just start to sit up and look around and bite people, you know?
Do not swim in any fresh water in Florida.
My mother would always be like, don't go in the lake whenever I leave the house, because she had remembered, you know, polio when it always came from a lake or swimming pool. And she was like obsessed with me not going. I'm like, we have a vaccine, Mom. I'm going in the lake. All right.
What's the point of me getting this vaccine?
Running water. Only swim in running water. She hated swimming pools and lakes. She liked rivers and oceans. But the water would have to run for her to feel safe about
Still
it.
water's not like.
Fever Dog is her least favorite song ever. Look how he's still happy from being able to talk about Trailer Park Boys. It's the only thing that I've ever seen him take ownership over and be like, no, sit down, everybody. I'm telling you about something. You know, but if there's any other topic, Chris would be like, what, really? Oh, I didn't know that. So belts hold up pants. You know, it doesn't matter what it is.
I've had this cord the entire
It's
time.
all new to him, you know? Until you get to Trailer Park Boys.
I know. You were downright giddy over them.
Then he's standing in the front of the class.
TPB.
Lecturing.
It's a fine show.
Yeah.
Needs more love. And it's getting it.
Look, you've had a 10-year run. That's better than what most people have had. All right, let's go to other people who love Trailer Park Boys.
God damn it. And who's watching this with me?
Weird. No one's calling.
No one cares about what Chris cares about.
That's fine. It's bullshit, actually. It's not fine at all. Really annoyed.
Wait, is this point counterpoint by yourself again?
No, I was trying to work myself up.
Stanley, stop fighting with yourself.
Stanley Steamer.
Oh.
Stanley Steamer, you can shit on his face.
No, you can't.
Look at this, it's J-Bone. Hey, J-Bone.
Hello.
I almost forgot about my great
catchphrase. Yeah,
catchphrase.
fuck that one up. Anyway, I had 2 new shows I wanted to see if you guys are watching, see what you thought. The first one on Netflix, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. I think that's what's her, Tina Fey produced one. Have you guys seen
Yeah,
that?
I watched the first 4 episodes of that. I haven't moved on.
All right. And what about Big Time in Hollywood, Florida?
Really, really funny.
It's great,
10
right?
times better than
Cuba
Trailer
Gooding
Park
Jr.'s
Boys.
best role ever. All right. Glad you like him.
Yeah, matter of fact, one of the guys was in here the other day, and do we not know his name? Is that why we didn't book him?
I didn't know his name, yeah. That was my bad.
That's okay. Don't be hard on yourself.
I do like the
really
show, though.
Beat yourself up over there all the time.
I know, it's so quick. He's like, it's all my fault. Joe shit himself, that's me.
I pushed on his
That's
stomach.
my bad. I feel like Dan isn't fulfilled. I'm looking at Dan the last couple days, and he's just been wandering around.
I gotta focus, Dan. It's my job to manage him.
It's Joey Jojo's job. Your job is to do less than ever before. That's all.
That's what you need to
If I
focus
even
on.
find out that you're in here after 4 o'clock, that you did the nuttiest thing yet. So yesterday he goes to look at some club for an unmasked. And he must have sent me a dozen pictures. I'm like, why am I looking at all these pictures?
Multiple angles.
Just tell me if it's good.
How come I didn't get any pictures?
He doesn't consider you part of the 3. You know what I mean? There's a thing where Chris doesn't consider women to be full humans.
Is that what it is?
That is not what it is.
I thought it was because I was new girl, but it turns out it's just because I'm girl.
Yes, just because you're girl. He said to me, he said, don't I know, he said, don't you know that it's different for girls? You're all the same.
You're all the same.
You're not gonna get these pics. Not forget, he said. Gail shouldn't get to see. No, is there a reason that you didn't want to show Gail?
Maybe I know there wasn't any reason. I just would usually just send things to you.
Old fashioned, yeah.
Old thinking.
Misogyny. I get it, man. I get it. This fucking scientist, and he's like a knight or something. He's been around that long in England. So he stands up in front of these women scientists and women journalists, and he said, women, when they're scientists, should work in a different lab than the men scientists because they fall in love with men and stop working hard, and then they also cry whenever you criticize them.
What?
Yeah. And these are physicists. This isn't like a high school soccer team acting like a girl could never be a goalie. This is a physicist that is so brilliant that he was knighted by the Queen.
He's like the edgy Seinfeld of scientists.
Well, he wasn't saying like women can't be scientists, but he was saying women should be scientists on their own.
Right.
Where they can
separate
cry and menstruate and look at pictures of Donny Osmond and fall in love with them.
Great plan, dude.
All right. Here is Sarah, Kentucky.
Hello.
Hello. Great catchphrase.
I was wondering if Chris has ever checked out SwearNet, the Trailer Park Boys internet TV station.
Yeah,
no, he never does.
No, I'm on SwearNet. Costs $4.20 a month.
That's so
Are you a sounding fucker?
I get it.
Yeah, right? Because they like the weed.
Mm-hmm.
That's Trailer Park Boys, like a network.
Yeah, the Tripping with Lay is really good, or Lee, however you say his name.
Everything about Mr. Leahy's awesome.
So you're a huge fan too, Sarah?
Yeah, I love the Trailer Park Boys. Have you ever seen them live?
Yeah, I saw them live. I'd rather not speak about that.
What happened?
It's better on the TV. Their TV show is much better than the live show. But I did go out to
I like
support
their
them.
live show.
The TV
I
show's
saw them
better.
Maybe you
I
were
saw them, they were
high.
Oh, I was more than high. But other people who I were with weren't as didn't indulge as much as I did, and they had the same thought as I did. But the TV show is fantastic.
Well, I think you guys should be friends. Looks like you have a new trailer park friend. Or are you not going to?
They were great live.
Trailer park friendship forever.
You should be in your own girl trailer park friendship thing. This is a guy time.
You also forgot Sebastian Bach was on there in like the later TV seasons.
Yeah, Sebastian Bach was on like the last 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Why didn't you tell us that before, Chris?
Yeah, you didn't mention that.
I would have.
He's not a fan.
He's played the part of
Sebastian Bach. He
That's weird,
plays
then.
himself, and he buys a lot of weed from them.
Here's David in Chicago.
Hey, brother.
Hey, man.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm calling to add my thoughts on the whole scientists falling in love with, or female scientists falling in love with their coworkers. I have 2 stories. My sister is a scientist. She's a PhD scientist. She studies entomology. And she always falls in love with the people she works with.
Well, most people fall in love with people they work with. If they
Right,
don't
but
fall in
there's something about
with someone they
love
went to
that's
school
nice.
with, they fall in love with someone that they work with.
That's where adults meet each other.
Yeah. Have you ever, Chris, fallen in love with anybody that you worked with?
Oh, no. There were probably women I wanted to sleep with at older jobs, but I never like fall in
You
love
had to whatever you would say older jobs. You didn't want to point out here. What about you, Joey Jojo?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, yeah, I know
old
for you.
restaurant job.
Yes. Definitely. for
Even
me.
when you're supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it would have only been one. Jeremy Coleman.
Oh.
Yeah.
A true love affair.
Well, it did not work out the way I wanted it to work out.
From afar, though.
Yeah.
I see the way you gaze at one another.
Sure, and I always try to think of a cute joke as I walk by him. Yeah, I think it's pretty normal to fall in love with people that you see every day.
Yeah, why not? I mean, you have things in common, clearly. You have, like, the same struggles. You know, you're like, yeah, don't you hate this about what we do? You know, like you have something to talk about.
Can you think, like, all right, so you think it's okay to fall in love with somebody, like at work, if they're not caught up on it, right? Like, I love that person, I just haven't worked it out yet. What about on the internet? Is that possible?
To
be like, I talked to this person on the internet and I think I'm falling in love with them.
I think it's possible.
Okay, so we think it's possible when you don't, you know, you just see the person from afar and that. But then if you say, I fell in love with someone from TV, then you're a stalking maniac.
Yeah, then you're a weirdo.
Yeah, then Mila Kunis is getting you arrested and putting you in a nut hut.
Even though you look like a little adorable puppy.
That would be a lot better for her than the person she married, who, by the way, she fell in love with at work.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Even though she was a minor. 49er. And he was her darling Clementine. I'm a minor 49er. For some reason, that's how we sang it when I was growing up. Like when they would make us sing it in school, it was just like very angry. It's like I'm a minor 49er.
It's like a fight song.
Yeah, it was. Every song was like that for us.
It's about fun.
No, we had an intention. I remember one time. You ever remember that song that we'd always have to sing the old Americana songs? And there was the Erie Canal song. Remember that one? 15 miles on the Erie Canal.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I had a mule and her name was Sal. But we were singing that. But we had switched the lyric to 15 miles on the sexy canal. And the music teacher went out of the room and came back with the principal, who said, every one of you was going to be at my office. Now that I found out about this, and he was leaving, people are going to be this. What about the bus kids? The bus kids have to be there for their bus. Bus kids too. Bus kids were always trying to get out of detention. But what I'm a bus kid.
I gotta get that bus.
You don't understand. If I don't get that bus, there's not another. All right. Everyone's got detention except for the bus kids.
Fucking bus kids.
The mouth's on you, people. 15 miles on the S Canal.
S.
Why sexy canal? Why?
Jimmy Donovan came up with it, and everybody was just fucking like lemons, following along. Like, I'm saying this shit too, like Jimmy is. But really, we thought that we were getting it past the teacher. There wasn't a lot of dedications to academics in my life. You know, it was just like, how can we fuck with this a little bit?
What can we replace the word sexy with?
Well, what? It did make sense. I mean,
sure.
You know, at least from a syllable point of view. Sure. We had the correct number of syllables. And the English teacher this music teacher, she didn't even like yell at us or look alarmed. She just walked out of the building.
I know exactly how to handle this.
Yeah, I came walking back in with the principal. That's it! I have heard about the disgusting manner that you people.
You could have gave us a warning.
Yeah. We'd have dropped it in a heartbeat. We knew all the shit that was raining down. Can't we get on some kind of 3 strikes you're out rule? I might be dying from this flesh-eating disease I have.
I'm worried about you.
We should break. We haven't broken yet today.
It's the Bennington Show.
You're listening to Bennington on Raw Dog Comedy Hits, Sirius XM 99.
Tito Beveridge has given the world something that I don't know if the planet could ever even get around to thanking him for, and that's Tito's vodka. Chris Stanley is old enough to remember a world without Tito's vodka. And Chris, I'll let you tell it in your own words, but I know it was a grayer world. It was a scarier world. It was a much more of a friendless world.
And now all those things are better now because in 1995, Tito Beveridge had the idea of building his own micro distillery, incorporating the boutique winery concept into the spirits industry.
He did that genius move. And something that, I mean, let's face it, he's an entrepreneur. But he came up with something that was a business that also helped people. And that's Tito's Vodka. I wrote a little song for him. I hope you like it. I mean, I thought if Tito could be out there and creating, I could do the same. I'd like to teach the world to sing and drink some vodka. You know what? I'm going to admit this. I stole that from somebody else. But that doesn't take away from what we're talking about here. Tito Beveridge, in a world that was gray, ugly, and scary, invented a vodka that now makes the world closer together, looking out for each other, and technology has jumped since this happened.
And it's award-winning. It's been awarded a 95 rating by Wine Enthusiast, won the unanimous Judge's Choice Double Gold Medal at the World Spirits Competition, the Chairman's Trophy for World's Best Vodka Tonic, and many others.
Chris, those are just things, okay? Those are things. I'm talking about something different. I'm talking about heaven and hell and God and the devil. I'm talking about human beings connected to each other by trust, love, and vodka.
It's got a modest paper label on a simple bottle.
We all know that, Chris. But what I'm talking about is that it makes people understand each other better. Sit down and have a Tito's.
Okay.
With somebody from another country. Maybe even a warring country with us. And you'll see that they get along well. Matter of fact, and I would never, try to separate people this way, but do you notice that a lot of people who start a lot of the wars don't drink vodka at all?
I noticed that.
They're not from the Midwest. That's the only thing I'll say.
Tito still makes his vodka by hand.
That's what I'm saying. If we could just drop some vodka on them, I bet they'd cool out quick.
On the same land where he started it all, in Austin, Texas.
What?
He still makes his vodka by hand in Austin, Texas, where he started it all.
How do you do that, though? How do you make vodka? I don't even understand it. Seems like a miracle to me. Seems like Willy Wonka. He's running around with a cool hat on and little Oompa Loompas to help him.
Tito's handmade vodka is distilled 6 times from 100% corn and is naturally gluten-free. Visit us at titosvodka.com for recipes, songs, and more. 40% alcohol by volume, handcrafted to be savored responsibly.
I can hear you.
Why wouldn't you answer hello back?
Hello!
Too late.
Oh, man.
We were going to come back with a hello song that someone sent us. But what did we do? We had a problem with the computer?
I forgot to relay that to the booth, which would be playing it out.
I don't know what goes on between the two rooms. I guess girls versus boys again.
Mm-hmm. Which room is this?
Hey, doesn't matter. We have a guest coming up a little later on, huh?
Yes, we do. Cambri Cruz, who's the founder of QED in Astoria. And she also has her memoir, Burned Down the Ground, which is available on Amazon.com.
And she's here to talk about...
She's here to be part of Tito's Innovators of Entertainment.
It's very small and tight. I gotta get a show business thing out with everybody. I gotta explain the bigger-than-life show business model that life has.
Business of show.
What's your button say there? I just noticed this.
It says, Lonesome No More.
Oh.
Which is a Kurt Vonnegut. It's from his book, Slapstick.
So you wear Vonnegut buttons?
I do. I wear it every day.
If anybody tries to start anything, go, well, do you read Vonnegut? Because I do.
Because I do.
I do, and I find him to be interesting. I don't even know if we've got famous writers anymore. I was thinking back to the 80s when they used to make fun of Jay McInerney and those guys, and they would call him the literary Brat Pack. It was about the last times that writers got a lot of heat for being writers.
Yeah, it seems like any time there's a big push about a book, it's usually somebody who does something else.
Yes, it's normally a diet book by a
Right.
fucking sitcom star. Finally, I got to put down all the stuff that I wanted to talk about, like just having dry tuna, you know?
No mayo?
Just getting out there and just working it and just doing sit-ups and then jumping jacks. I got pictures of all that in the book, too. But yeah, you're right. There's no real writer. They're doing that David Foster Wallace movie. And I'm like, well, that was the 90s and people still cared about writers. It's this goddamn fucking computer smartphone box.
Yeah.
Changed everything.
It's changed our attention span. I don't think anyone can sit through a book.
No.
And if you have the option to read one single thing or do 10 things at once on this, you're going to choose that.
But let me ask you this. Have you ever had a book change your life before? You read a book and you're like, my life is different because of this book.
I think that I've had books where it changed me the way I thought about writing, but I don't know if I changed as a person.
I changed as a person almost every time I read a good book.
Really?
And I can't ever say that for a single tweet.
Right.
I can't ever say I read a tweet the other day that makes me want to live differently.
Yeah.
And most of the time when I was a young man and I'm reading books, I'd put the book down and be like, that's the life I should be living. Joe, I see you nodding along. You agree?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Give me a book that changed your life.
Franny and Zoe, J.D. Salinger.
There's a perfect thing.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. That's another.
Did that make you want to smother your friend, or what did that make you want to do?
Well, I kept telling my parents if a piece of my brain's ever chopped out, just smother me, and they're like, stop bringing the stuff you're ate,
Ching. Ching. Have you ever read One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
I have, yes.
The R.P. McMurphy is a totally different dude than the Jack Nicholson. You'll read that and you're like, this guy is a massive, big hellraiser, and Jack is Jack. I mean, he played the part of Jack Nicholson. He was great. But I think they could, there could be so many different... I think that's the only book that I've read the book, saw the movie, and saw the play.
Yep. I've done all three.
Isn't that weird?
It's pretty weird. I don't think that I have ever had that experience.
That's more than Kesey. Kesey never saw the movie. He said it was like somebody asking you, we're raping your daughter in the parking lot. Do you want to come down and take a look?
I'd
Which,
rather
by the
not.
way, we're not people who could say shit like that. You know what I mean?
I'd rather skip that.
Let's go over here to Corey. Corey, go ahead, buddy.
Hey, hello!
Hello!
And I called because every high schooler should be required to read Of Mice and Men because it shows you how you will be shit on in life and have to shoot your friend in the back of the head one day.
Yeah.
So
who would have thought
that
when I was in high school I'd end up actually living that book when I got older? I ended up living. Think about the rabbits, Bessie. But yeah, I was such a fucking Steinbeck fan at one time.
Yeah,
I just wanted to live in Monterey for no apparent reason because it didn't come across being that nice in the book. I'm just like, I think I'd be more at home there.
I certainly feel like there are places that I wanted to live because of reading books like that. Like, I'm trying to think of pretty much any book that took place in LA is so much more romantic, I think, than any movie I've ever seen about LA.
That's interesting. I never thought of that. JoJo's also nodding along to that.
Yeah, a lot of one of my favorite books is Less Than Zero by Bret Easton Ellis. And that
Why?
I don't know. I read it.
Why would that book want to make you live in LA? It just destroys LA.
Yeah, I thought that.
Well, I read it at the same age as Clay, the protagonist. Over winter break of my freshman year of college. So I was like, oh, LA is super cool.
You know what? Bret Easton Ellis did this show before. You know what college he went to?
No, what's that?
Bennington.
Is that right?
He's a Bennington college girl. Well, he was part of that Brad Pack, that literary Brad Pack. He was, I think he had gotten that book. maybe 20 years old, 21 years old when that book came out and he wrote it. I don't know whether, we'll have people doing stuff like that ever again.
Where does Ask the Dust take place? Is that in LA or it's definitely Southern California? But that was a book where I read it and thought, oh, this is like a West Coast that doesn't exist anymore. Like it seemed so like hip and gritty, and
right.
I don't think that version of California exists, or at least Southern California.
That was like the Pinch Hunt thing, which Paul Thomas Anderson just did last year, where you're like, yeah, that's the LA I wish I could have went to, the LA that felt completely different than what LA does now.
Yeah, it just seemed like gritty and cool and like, I don't know. Just don't think that ever has existed in my lifetime.
Well, if you go back and read Jim Carroll's book, that New York doesn't exist anymore. And that New York was one where a 15-year-old boy still in his private school suit could be pimped out in the bus station, a couple blocks from here. Somebody went up and then they disappeared, and they had a good question too. The question was this: do you think reading keeps you from experiencing the world? And I would say just the opposite of that. I think reading more than any other art form, and I think it's why novels are still so important. Reading is the only art form that makes you think about feelings. Where when you're watching a movie, you could feel things, or listening to a song, but reading is the only one that makes you analyze your feelings and your thoughts.
I think also because it exists in your mind. It's so personal that you're reading the words and then that story then exists in your mind. I think there's something about that connection that is just, it's not like any other art form.
It's not like you could walk in, I hear what you're listening to, or I see what you're watching, but I can't experience what you're reading. More than if I just interrupt you. What are you reading? Oh, really, huh? What's that about?
I think reading also teaches empathy more than anything else, too, because you have to identify with the protagonists and the different characters, and it helps you.
That is actually, Joe is so dead on. You know why I think? Because he wears glasses. Mm-hmm. And a kid who grows up wearing glasses
smart
has
guy
to read.
Wait, did you read a book about someone who wears glasses? That's how you know it?
It's incredibly empathetic.
It is. Dave, go ahead, buddy.
Mr. Bennington.
Yes.
Yeah, I love novels and Charles Bukowski. I mean, you mentioned Pynchon, but I love Bukowski. His California stuff is great. Women and Post Office and so many others. And I think kids don't have the discipline to read it anymore. Their eyes are moving left and right on the little small screen and everything. And
well, this is I will tell you, the Post Office is a great example of what I'm trying to talk about sometimes, is like that tone where you feel what his life is like, right? But there isn't any movement like you expect in a movie or even a song. It's just him. And you can say to yourself, and it goes back to what Joe said about empathy, is you understand what it feels like to live that life.
Yeah, and it was his life. I mean, he wrote, he actually worked for the post office, and but even A Barfly and Tales of Ordinary Madness, great movies from him. And I didn't like the Paul Thomas Anderson Pynchon movie. I didn't like that, but
no.
And what about reading books on Kindles? Is that not very personal? To read it off a glowing
I haven't been able to do it. I haven't been able to pull it off.
Piece of glowing plastic like an iPad, and that's not good for kids. And reading stuff off Wikipedia as opposed to having Encyclopedia Britannica, bits and pieces knowledge off the internet as opposed to, I don't know how else to put it, but I think it's not good for the kids. They don't have artistic souls anymore.
Well,
they're not going to have a love of. They're not going to have a love of art anymore.
Yeah,
they're more science based with these kind of pieces of technology that are a part of them.
Well, you came up with a Bukowski book that most people don't bring up, which is post office, where literally you just hear about a guy who gets good at sorting letters and then drinking himself to sleep, but he has this certain pride that he can do this gig better than other people, even though he doesn't give a shit about it, you know? And it's an amazing place to put yourself.
And that character is pretty unlikable. Like, I think...
Frightening almost, right?
And yet, I think that books do that in a more successful way, where you can have some type of anti-hero that you're just on their team because you invest so much time. Like, that's the other thing. You spend a lot of time with the characters. Like, it's not just a short thing that comes in and out of your life. Like, I always get this weird sensation when I'm reading a book that I'm really enjoying, that when you put it down, like that thing is still existing. Like, you kind of like just pop back into that world when you're ready. It's a really weird experience, I think. And you know, he says that kids aren't doing it, but I think it's adults. I think adults don't read the way they used to as well.
I always thought that the weirdest thing in the world is that a lot of the books that we read in high school, a lot of them we should read in our 30s, our 40s, our 50s. There's so, like, if you look at even stuff that you feel like, if you said to someone, all right, I'm reading Moby Dick right now, they're like, what are you, in 7th grade? But the reality of it is, a 7th grader can't really embrace those fucking things. And after you've lived some life, you're like, holy shit, that fucking book is amazing. You know, why? Why do we just act like these are junior high school books?
It's very strange. Like, I could probably make a list of books that I read in high school that it would mean so much more.
Right.
And you would do yourself such a service, because you probably retained something from it, and you'll remember some of it. But yeah, the amount of stuff that they give you to read that you'll never appreciate.
Hemingway alone is a middle-aged person's read, and they give it to you in 7th and 8th grade.
Oh yeah, I read Hemingway for the first time in 9th grade, and even then thought, I'm having a hard time connecting this as a young woman right now. Like, even I was aware, like, this is not for me, and yet...
You didn't like all the passages about packing camping gear?
No, it was like, this is not written for me. I can tell that.
Also, in school, you're completely coached through the analysis, too. You don't really get to form an opinion on it, because all your teachers are saying, oh, get it? See? Red hunting hat. Get it? This is what this means.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
And then be mad at you for not getting it.
Yeah, it's just your interpretation.
Well, when I was in, I guess, 10th grade, I went to join this book club, right? And that night, everybody from the club went out and we broke into a garage. And then the next time we got together, we broke into a luncheonette and stole some stuff out of there. And finally, I'm like, what kind of book club is this? And they're like, it's Crook Club. Crook Club. And I go, well, is it still going to go towards my grade? We should have a book club.
I would love that.
We did one once on the air for
Albert Brooks.
Albert Brooks' book. Here's Al. Al, go ahead.
Hey, kids.
Yeah.
Hey, it's funny you mentioned rereading books. I just finished rereading To Kill a Mockingbird. I think the last time I read it was probably in 8th or 9th grade. I've been out for 35 years from high school. It was excellent, and I'd forgotten how good it was and how different it is from the movie, which we've seen.
First of all, she only needed to write one book.
Yeah.
That's it. One book. But To Killing Mockingbird was one of those books that changed my life. It was one of those books that I was like, I'm going to read more books now.
And I don't recall it being impactful on my life at the time, but I can't imagine why now for rereading it. I guess I will read the sequel that's coming, but, it's...
I can honestly tell you, and this is a very weird thing to say, I'm laying on my couch, I'm reading To Kill a Mockingbird, and I put the book down and literally started to think about my father differently. I'm like, maybe I don't understand all this stuff that he's doing, but he's a really good man. And I had that thought. And I've never gotten away from seeing him as Atticus. He's always been that to me. Even through times where like I couldn't disagree with him anymore.
Right.
You know, but I still know that he was always coming from this one spot. And that's life-changing for a kid.
He really reminds me of Atticus. I don't know why I'd never made that connection before, but they're so similar. You're right.
Well, I remember one time, I went to I'm like a little kid, so I've had like football practice, and I'm like in, I don't know, 7th grade or something, and I go to my house, I take a shower, and I go off to there was like this town meeting over whether they were going to put this other factory right up against my neighborhood. And my dad was bringing everybody in that we didn't need, something like that. And so I come in through the back doors of, I think it was the junior high school. And I had to walk all this way. I had to walk like a mile and a half or something to get there. So I come in and he was standing up, battling for the people in this neighborhood, and had actually pulled a lot of the folks from the black neighborhood, because it was really going to go up against their neighborhood most of all. And he was talking, and they were like doing this thing like they were agreeing with him. And I'm standing in the back, and I'm like, I feel like I'm looking at Atticus right now. It was the craziest thing. And even then, I didn't exactly get what he was doing, And I don't think I would have ever had that through the bad times without reading that book,
I've never heard that story before.
Yeah, there was he had a really great line too, because, so I'm standing there and he didn't even know that I had shown up there. I came, talked to him after. He was like, "Oh, wow, you came over here." Like he just thought it was peculiar that I did. And I just felt like it was the thing to back him up. So the company had been there and they had all these charts and all, and they're like, it's not going to change the air that much. You already have these other factories around. And my father says, well, if you lived next to a pig farm, you wouldn't be happy that they put another pig farm on the other side of you. And the fucking place is going wild. They're just yelling and shit. And all I was doing is standing in the back, and I just felt like a distance and connection at the same time. And I was like, oh yeah, right, fucking Scout snuck into that thing that she didn't completely understand, Now,
do you think you would have had that connection if you had only seen the movie? Do you think that it would have impacted you the same way when you were young?
I see. That's a really, I never once considered that, because I also love that movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie. And
seriously, he's one of the best characters of all time. But I think the difference between seeing movies and reading, I think movies are closer to entertainment. As much as we love them and, give out awards and stuff, they have to entertain. Where I think a book can really transform. Even though I think about it as every art form, that there is.
Yeah.
That even listening to the radio, that you could hear somebody talk about something and change the way you are, or watching TV, a debate thing, it could change you. I think one of the more dangerous things any of us do is when you go, I'm all changed. And that's it for me. That's when you get like Joe is right now.
I haven't stopped changing yet.
No, man, you're the same goddamn St. Paul kid as them when you were. Are you St. Paul or Minneapolis?
St. Paul, East Side.
No one ever brings up St. Paul.
I know.
Till now.
I always called you my St. Pauli girl.
Thank you.
Here's Andy in Atlanta.
Yeah, a book that I read in my early 20s was Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail by Hunter Thompson. I was kind of looking for it to be, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, too, with all the crazy drug stories and everything. And it wasn't, and I was kind of let down, and I reread it about a year ago, and the political writing is fucking amazing in that book.
It really is.
And I wouldn't have gotten it until I'd been following politics for 25
years. And we kind of feel like politics has gotten ugly and tarnished lately, but I think it's always been there,
Yeah, people seem to think back on how they thought politics worked as when they were a child, and for some reason, everyone was always like, the things were well put together back then.
Yeah.
They never have the idea, probably because they didn't have the understanding of it. You know, it's like you just weren't involved with that.
Or you were naive enough to think, like, Reagan's my man, you know, and that's the end of it. I like Bush. And then you think, like, I'm involved because I'm watching the convention. And now you just see so much show business.
Yeah.
I forgot even that we had put up the iBang's Ultimate Summer Reading List, 149 great reads. 149 books that I think would be great for anybody to read. We've actually collected some of these over the years, but it's harder for me now to read novels than it was at any point in my life. I read biography all the time because I have to for work, and I'll go like a bat out of hell on that. I can read a book in a night, but a novel, I'll find myself starting and restarting all the time.
Do you think it's an attention span situation?
Yeah.
Do you think it's
I think it is.
Yeah.
I don't have the same kind of time, uninterrupted time that I had my whole life.
Yeah.
To sit and read.
I think also with a novel, it's the most that you can connect to the artist. Like, there's something about reading that I always feel like the author's presence, where I don't always feel that way in a movie or TV. You don't always immediately think of the writer. But it's so, I don't know. It's like you can feel their presence, I think.
Well, it seems to be the most of any what one person can give you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Particularly a novel. Even more than what a playwright, which is more than a playwright can do more than a screenwriter, but those still take interpretations. And then the weird thing is, it's your interpretation, you know,
Right.
so you can very poorly put that character together or be mispronouncing their name throughout. Here's Mark. Mark, go ahead.
Hey, Ron.
Hey.
Hey, Jack Kerouac's The Dharma Bums. Absolute life changer for me. I just happened to find it at someone's house. They were throwing a bunch of old books out. There's a box, and it was full of Harlequin novels, you know, Harlequin romance. So I'm still searching through it, and at the bottom of the box, I see The Dharma Bums. I didn't know anything about Kerouac or anything. I picked it up, read it, and completely changed me around. I between the sophomore and junior year in college, I went and lived in South America for 6 months just because the book was it was so powerful and so freeing from whatever I was before. And it's just an amazing experience. And of course, then fell in love with all Kerouac stuff.
And you know, Kerouac wrote all those books without them even getting done. You know what I mean? Like, they weren't even being put out. So he had something like 10 books in a bucket, you know, before they started to put them out. And he doesn't seem to have, it seemed like he only got somewhat jaded after the books came out. Because when you read those books, his heart is wide open. And I don't know if that was true after he had success.
I don't think it was. And as a matter of fact, in his later years, he became very embittered as to the way people were interpreting his books. When he would go to parties in the mid-'60s, he was very distressed because he saw the hippies using the American flag as like a sofa cover, which is everything he was against. But the hippies latched onto it, but they kind of got, I think they interpreted it a little weakly, if you want.
Well, they were caught up with, like we were when we all first, just the energy of it all, just the excitement. And, you know, it was all deeper than that to Jack. But if you really think about it, his time of being popular was so short.
Yeah.
Even though he always had popularity, since he went nothing to do with the 60s youth movement, the people who loved him, it was just it. He just suddenly became Elvis in a weird fucking suit doing pills and alcohol, you know?
Yeah,
all the people from the 60s would have loved to have Elvis on board.
Yeah, that time period in general was just like a blip. It was just like this one wild little scene that like lasted for like.
And how many people were involved in it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just a dozen or so?
But when I read Kerouac, I was like, well, now I want to read everybody. You know, like it
All
made
the
you.
people.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I remember I was down in Florida and well, I don't even want to get into this story now because we don't have much time, but I should tell you my one real connection to the Beat generation.
I want to hear it. Not enough time.
It was Alan.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
My favorite.
He's your favorite?
I love Allen Ginsberg. I love him.
So this is the thing. You and me and your mom, I met your mom down in Florida, and we were living basically in the neighborhood that Jack Kerouac died down there. And there was this old, really weird, burnout hotel. I wouldn't even know how to explain this place, but and Kerouac used to read there, and Jim Morrison had read there, and you would go and people would read at this weird kind of rooming house, right? And there was this old bookstore that was mainly just like used books, and it was just a great place. So I'm in there one day because I used to go there a lot. And there's just this little thing that said Allen Ginsberg is going to be here next week. And I'm like a kid at the time. So I'm like looking at it, and I'm looking around at this just place that there's books on the floor and there's books piled up to the side and shit. And, and I'm like, Ginsberg's going to be here. And the guy's like, yep. While he's like going through his stuff. And I'm like, the Allen Ginsberg? And he's like, is there any other? He's moving books around and just like being fucking above me. And I'm like, all right. So it was like in the afternoon. And so I go there like, the week later is supposed to be Allen Ginsberg. And I'm standing in there and I'm like, this doesn't look any different than the last time I was here. You know what I mean?
Didn't even clean up?
Yeah, they didn't clean up. They didn't do anything. And then like another dude come over and he was standing on the other side and a couple more people came in. And when there got to be like about 10 or 12 of us, all of a sudden this guy just walks up. And I mean, we're just like standing around in the room and he goes like this. Thank you everybody for coming here today. What an honor for us. And I'm saying, like, I'm still looking, and I'm like, this can't be fucking happening. So, Allen Ginsberg walks in. I'm just like, it was like somebody walked in from out of a fucking book, just walked into the room. And I'm like, this is fucking nuts. And as he walks in and he's sitting there and he has some stuff to read, the guy who owned that weird hotel that I told you about, who was like still the Beat from that part of Florida, came in, sat at his feet with his back to him. Like he was just going to listen and not do anything. So Alan's like reading some stuff and he goes, hey, have any of you guys ever meditated before? And we're all like, no. And he goes, well, let's do it. And everyone just sits there and Alan teaches us to fucking meditate in the middle of this store. And we're just like, he's doing the thing. And like, I'm so fucking blown away that as we're getting to this, I just feel fucking high as a kite. And like, my mantra is like, I'm sitting here with Allen Ginsberg like I was in a book. You know what I mean? Like I'm... And then he goes, he's done. He goes, hey, I'm going to be over at the college. You guys should come tonight, And I went and got your mom later, and we went, and like there was a lot of people there, and he was reading, and he was telling us like, you guys should be doing research on Kerouac's last days. You should be writing that. And then he would just play these little things, and we would sing along these weird songs and shit. And then he taught everybody to fucking meditate there. It was fucking great,
That is so incredible. Like, the fact that you saw him in a room with only, 10 people is insane.
The whole thing just to this day doesn't make sense. And I couldn't have been, more weirded out by it. You know what I mean? Like, there was the thing of meeting not only a great writer, but a character from a book who just walked in. It was just something that I couldn't have wrapped my suburban mind around. You know what I mean? It just seemed like what was happening was a fucking Punk'd episode. And then he says, "You guys want to meditate?" And I'm like, "Yes.
Yes, I do.
I do." And I was just really, I had never, if I would have just thought to just how fucking nice, like a time I'm like, I'm just happy to be in this room. I don't want anything more than this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want to go over and, bring up any of his shit or, just sit here and just let this moment be. But it was really, really strange.
I think it's amazing that you could say the first time you ever meditated was with Allen Ginsberg.
I know. You think I would have taken to it more, but I'm always have to. And it wasn't like even anybody's idea. I just felt it like right from the get. Do we need to break here?
Yes, we do. One last time.
And then who's coming in?
Cambri Cruz. Cambri Cruz. She is the founder of QED Astoria. Her memoir is Burned Down the Ground, which is available on Amazon.com. And for all the shows at QED Astoria, go to QEDAstoria.com. At Cambri is her Twitter account.
We'll be right back. This is Bennington.
This is Tito's Innovators of Entertainment, and it's brought to you by Tito's Handmade Vodka. Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's original craft vodka, distilled 6 times from 100% corn and naturally gluten-free. Come visit us at Tito'sVodka.com. And in the studio with us is Kambri Crews. Cambri's the founder of QED Astoria. Her memoir is Burned Down the Ground, which is available on Amazon.com. And go to QEDAstoria.com for more information. And on Twitter, it's at Cambri, Cambri with a K.
Cambri, nice to see you again.
Hello.
How's everything?
Great. Everything's awesome. Thank you.
What is there seems to be a lot going on in Queens right now.
They, for years, have always said, Astoria is the next big neighborhood. Right. But now it's actually true.
Now it's true.
Now it's true. They finally...
I wish I would have believed them at one point. So what are you guys doing over there?
At QED, I'm dubbing it After School for Grown-Ups. Basically, anything that you would have an after school for kids, except for with beer and wine and no kids allowed kind of thing. We're doing everything from comedy, storytelling, poetry, but also painting, henna tattoo classes. We had a juggling class, magic, but all for grown-ups. So it's kind of fun.
And the point would be to what, as you're taking these classes? How's it going to change things for you?
Well, a lot of places that I've worked at in the past, like the 92Y, they have classes. Lots of places have classes, Gotham Writers Workshop and all that. They're really highbrow, pretty time intensive, and require a lot more money. And I don't need to take a 6-week juggling class. Just 30 minutes, an hour, $10 done. And if I want to come back, I can and take longer ones or get private coaching and stuff. But a lot of times you have to invest a lot of time and money up front and then discover later that, hey, I suck at juggling. Right. Or, there's a death in the family and I can't attend 6 of the 8 classes and I've just shelled out all this money and lost it.
And can you still get drinks?
Yeah.
Unlike the 92Y, you can actually have some beverages.
The 92Y Tribeca, which is where I booked their comedy, they had a restaurant and
that's right,
beer and wine and liquor. Yeah.
I never was in the main room there. I was only in the little theater that they were doing sing-alongs, where they would put stuff, like if you would see Grease, you could go there and they would put the lyrics up and people were singing along.
Yeah. Yeah, beer and wine only. I didn't want it to be a restaurant where there's tons of places in Queens, Dan, you live there. There are a lot of little restaurants that'll have a comedy night tucked in a corner. They shut off all the sports. Everybody gets ticked off and suddenly you're in a comedy show and there's no acoustics, no lighting. No. It sucks. There's plenty of places like that in Astoria. But I'm not in the food and beverage business. I'm in the theater, performing arts, artistic community in that business. And so I wanted to flip the script on it, that here's a place where we're doing performances and we have an art gallery and a bookstore, and we also happen to have a concession stand, essentially, where we serve beer and wine.
Yeah, the room at QED for the performances is really the focus, unlike at a lot of the bars in Queens where they might just have one night of comedy and chalk, and then they'll erase that and say karaoke the next night.
Exactly. And their whole point is to sell chicken fingers.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Dan, have you seen your name up in chalk? Have you ever seen your name?
That's the dream. Man.
That's the next
chalk.
goal.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it on there.
I've bought the chalk. I'm ready for someone to write with it.
You do storytelling, right?
Yeah, with the moth mostly.
Now, when you look at storytelling as opposed to stand-up comedy, what is the big differences?
Well, I do think you're starting to see some bleeding.
Yes.
I could have predicted that, and I'm pretty sure I did predict it in an article I did a couple of years ago, that you would see more of that, comedians starting to delve into the more honest and the storytelling type of comedy. The storytelling essentially is a beginning, middle, and end. It's okay if there's no laughter. It's okay if people get a little choked up and cry, that kind of thing. Whereas with comedy, the whole point is laugh. You got to have your taglines.
All right, so Dan, you are a storyteller. I was trying to figure out what you do, but it's
where
really
there's no laughs.
Yeah,
yes, it is stories.
Storytelling first and foremost.
It's a thing. You're meant to do it.
It's fun. I've done story shows, and I've done story shows like that where it's more serious and heartfelt. But there's also some, like I did one story show recently where the whole thing is like, we don't want any emotion, we don't want anyone to cry. We want you to tell the most disgusting, worst thing. And if you start talking about your dad and your strained relationship, we're going to light you. And we really don't want to hear about that.
I would never be able to do
that. You did a memoir pretty young too, right?
I'll be 45 in a couple of days.
Yeah.
So, and it's been out for a few years. So yeah, I guess that's kind of young.
It is.
Yeah.
Normally, well, I get to meet a lot of people who do them, and I always think it's a great point in life to do an interview with someone because they've taken their time to think about their life.
Yeah.
I think the worst thing to do is like if you get Kevin Hart to come in here today. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because he has no idea what the hell is going on. It takes years to figure out, hey, what happened to me?
Absolutely.
Then,
and also everything's going great.
Yeah.
It's like, this is really working out, and I'm just loving it. I'm loving how popular I am right now.
Yeah, I did that with Seth Rogen, like, early on, and I do an hour with him. He's like, I don't know, it's just easy. You just write it up, and then you make it into a movie, and people come and see it. It's great. But when you talk to guys who have lived a lot, they've had a chance to go, I got my teeth kicked in, or man, was I an asshole for about 7 years. I was unbearable. I always find that like the most interesting things, that when people go back and look at themselves and give themselves a different kind of grade than they would have at the time.
And there's also some people like Bieber who's already written 2 autobiographies, so he's really taken some time to reflect.
Well, somebody's written them. I don't know. It's him.
No, he's putting pen to paper.
Yeah.
He might have been in the room.
Yeah. Tell people about your book and what made you write it at this point.
So I grew up in a deaf family. My whole family's deaf: mom, dad, aunts, uncles, grandparents, and except for my brother and some cousins and a couple of extended family and stuff. So I grew up hearing in this deaf family, pretty in a isolated, poor area of Texas, like about an hour and a half out of civilization, no running water, no electricity. We lived in a 1-room tin shack for a while. Got a trailer, but it got repossessed, so we moved back into the shack. And then when I was 16, my dad tried to kill my mother and didn't go to jail for it. And then about 13, 14 years later, he tried to kill another woman. And now he's in prison for 20-year sentence in Texas for attempted murder. So it's a comedy.
Yes.
Lighthearted.
Now, that kind of
rom-com.
stuff. But you do have stories. You know what I mean? That's the beauty of it.
I know people, when they said that, you're pretty young for a memoir. It's like, well, you don't get a memoir because life was good.
Right.
Yeah. But I do have the perspective because it did happen a while ago. My dad's been in jail now for, end of June will be 13 years.
Uh-huh.
13 years. So yeah, there is some distance in there.
Do you stay in contact with him?
I do. I used to be a lot better at it this last year since opening QED, honestly. And then also, after the book came out, it brought out a lot of his ugliness in a way that it was like, oh, right, you're this bad person and you're really not dealing with any of this. And now I get to be the one on the receiving end of it, finally, because now he has something to be angry with me about.
Sure.
He never had anything to be angry with me about before,
So he wasn't crazy about the book?
He wasn't crazy about it, but he was proud of me. You know, it doesn't hold him obviously in a very good light, but he's proud of me and my accomplishments. And also at the end of the day, he is a bit of a narcissist. So I think he likes the fact that he's immortalized now. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that in a very, Charlie Manson way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure Manson sits around and goes, how many books have been written?
Yeah, it's pretty
by me?"
impressive.
Yeah.
And the thing is that most people who read my book all agree that my dad is very, very likable. He comes off very charming. He's extraordinarily intelligent. So it's not like a mommy dearest where I just it's all ugliness and settling a score. It's nothing like that. Yeah.
But you're just like, I grew up in this madness, and I'm trying to put it together myself. And writing helped with that, I imagine, right?
I think I had already kind of dealt with it. I think that's what gave me the perspective, though, to be able to write from an honest point of view and in a loving point of view, and not be hateful and trying to work through my crap on paper. I had already worked through it. Yeah. And I think that's where it should be for something emotional like
Yeah,
this.
I think that the first signs of adulthood is when you start to see your parents as people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not, it's always amazing to me that we think that our parents would be somehow more intelligent or more together or more thoughtful than any other human being that we've ever met. You know?
Yeah, you put so much weight in what they say, and then there's also like when you don't understand what they're doing at that time. Like you can make them into be the best person that's ever lived and the worst until you're an adult, and then you're like, oh, it's like full of everything.
Yeah, a regular thing.
Just a human being. Right.
Yeah, my dad was very much my superhero, for sure.
Sure.
And he didn't really give me any indications that he was anything other than a superhero up until he tried to kill my mom. That night was really the first time I'd ever really seen him, this other side of him that apparently had existed throughout my whole life. My mom was very good at protecting me from seeing that.
Was that alcohol or drug related?
Well, yeah, alcohol related, but the alcoholism is a direct result of him being born deaf into this very religious, evangelical, right-wing family who was very poor and didn't know how to deal with having deaf people in their family. They didn't know sign language. They didn't have access to schools and public resources to deal with it, and they beat the crap out of him. He was a pretty wild little, liked to play pranks on his sisters. He's a very gregarious personality, and in this strict Christian household, and them not even understanding what he needed because they didn't speak the same language. Yeah, they beat the crap out of him, so he was abused, and it's pretty ugly. Yeah, and you can definitely see how his life went off the rails as a direct result of all that, because there are plenty of deaf people who aren't violent.
Yeah, I never even made the connection.
The deaf community, trust me, will tell you. Make sure you know that.
I know somebody who, this was many, many years ago, and it was in the state of Delaware, and she used to be an interpreter, and she worked for the state going to, when deaf kids were in trouble with the law. And she had a lot of work. I'm like, really? More deaf kids? She's like, yeah.
Yeah, it is a higher rate of also recidivism in prison. In the Texas Department of Criminal Justice in Huntsville, where they kill everybody, they have about 200 deaf inmates, and the percentage of deaf inmates that commit again once they've been out, the recidivism rate is through the roof, because when they get out, they don't have the same resources. Nobody knows how to deal with them. A lot of these guys never learned sign language. They don't know how to read or write because their parents were hearing. Most deaf kids are born into hearing families. So
you're literally born a fish, out of water when you're a deaf person. I mean, you're born into a system that isn't set up for you.
Right, exactly.
But then that must have also been tough for you to learn how to express yourself as a young person.
I think actually the opposite, because their deaf community is so expressive. I'm from Texas, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, where's your accent?" And I have a little one, but my accent is like this. That's my accent. Like the over-exaggerated facial movements, and like, get out, like hitting people, and it's very touchy. Yeah, that's the deaf community. So yeah, my husband, Christian Finnegan, who's actually a comedian, he says that that I have a very, very difficult time masking any of my emotions.
You couldn't play poker.
No way.
Not a poker player.
No. Yes.
Well, I think if you even just look at the fact that you grew up in a deaf house and now you've dedicated your life to storytelling, it's a really interesting thing.
Yeah, the deaf community is a storytelling community. I do talk about that a little bit in the book, but yeah, it's very, very much almost like you're standing on a stage and giving a performance, because it does require the use of your whole body and all your facial expressions and stuff. Yeah,
it's really strange how many stand-ups don't use any of that. But you see how many stand-ups just stand very still.
Completely still, yeah.
Craig Gass, his family is deaf, right? All of his family, and he does impressions, and he's very, very gregarious on stage, and I think that's directly. He talks about that being a result of growing up in a deaf family.
To almost going the opposite way with it, being as physical as possible, just because that's how he grew up. With communicating with it.
Yeah, I'm 99% sure it's Craig Gass. I couldn't.
That's going to bother you
totally
forever. People are like, "What the hell? I know him. There's no truth to this at all."
They can hear everything. His parents.
I think in a way it's like weirdly being born with a superpower. You know, if you're the only person in your family that can do that.
Yeah, definitely took advantage of I got away with a lot.
Yeah.
And just interpreting adult conversations definitely made me grow up a lot faster. But that's true of like any household where English is a second language and the kids are in charge of interpreting. But yeah, I would totally misinterpret on purpose adult conversation. Like, oh, he said it was okay if I used this gun. He said I could borrow it. Yeah, see, tell him. And
you know, when you reminded me of a story. I have a friend of mine who he grew up with Cuban parents. They came here. He came over as a little kid, and he interpreted for his family. But English was quickly became his first language from school and stuff like that. And he was over at my house, and this woman who was my maid at the time, she was from South America, and they started speaking Spanish, and then she left. And he was a big dude. And after she left, she was laughing. And he goes, he speaks Spanish like a little boy. Like he had never really learned to get beyond.
It's just baby talking.
Yeah, he was
probably mispronouncing things. Oh, that is adorable.
I was like laughing like hell, and I never told him. You know, but every time he would speak Spanish, I would look at the other person to see if they were cracking up.
Even though you knew none of it.
Yeah, just like if you say poo-poo to them, or, you know.
It's amazing that it only takes one generation, though. Like the gap, the gap between them is like their parents are completely disconnected from this world, and then I see it all the time. The kids are, ordering food, or they're basically translating everything for them. It's amazing.
There's like several of my friends from growing up who are Hispanic, and they'll just talk. There's no accents or anything, and they'll get on the phone with their mom or dad, and they'll realize like, oh right, they're Hispanic.
Yeah.
I totally. It's like not even in your head.
That's like if we really want to beat ISIS, we just got to invite them to this country and have their kids just get Americanized amazingly fast.
We just got to wait for ISIS to breed, and then we'll be okay.
Just get them some baseball caps, some skateboards.
Yeah,
come on, kids.
Yeah, they're immediately going to act black like everybody does. That's always the funny thing of kids who come here and they immediately identify with black culture.
Yeah. Because they're in the minority.
Yeah.
It's just that it's cooler. It's just, no matter what generation you're in, it's just better. I don't know, like, everyone looks at, like, hip-hop kids today, but I remember everybody wanted to be a soul kid when I was younger. If you look back at early pictures of Bruce Springsteen, they dressed like they were Harlem Pimps. The entire band. The entire band.
That's just a great image of ISIS kids playing up at Rucker Park.
Yeah, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? They would just die. There's something about an American culture that kids just love. I don't know whether it's because we have toys or whatever, but they just go, yeah, this is my culture. Doesn't matter where they're from in the world.
And then they don't have accents because they didn't learn English from their family.
Right.
That's the thing is that they learn English from their peers. And so there's no indication whatsoever. It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
Well, it's almost like if you move a kid when they're young, their accent will change. You know, if you take them from Texas to Boston, they just start to talk like Boston kids immediately.
Well, my brother and I learned how to talk from television, and from television newscasters, you know, they have no dialect. So.
Vanilla.
Yeah.
Vanilla.
Very vanilla.
You can even see that with some stand-ups that if you watch them when they were younger, they had like a thicker accent, and then as they've like gone on and toward the country or whatever, they speak like that accent that, whether it's Long Island or whatever, has been pretty much erased. When if you hear him like 15 years ago, it's like, that's a different guy talking, it almost sounds like.
It's true.
People said that I had a strong Southern accent when I moved here, and I don't know.
No, I don't hear it all.
But I think that it faded. But I don't think it was ever that strong. But when I first started school, people were like, where are you from? I was like, what do you mean? I had no idea that I ever sounded that way. But then I hear family back home who to me never had a Florida.
They have Southern accents in Florida?
It's very slight. Yeah. It's not.
It depends on what part of Florida you're in.
Yeah.
The beach generally doesn't, because those people are from somewhere else. They can afford those. You know what I mean? But to be honest, if you get 5 miles off of any beach in Florida, you're in Alabama. I mean, it's just Alabama with gators.
I think that's true of every place. In Ohio, there are the biggest hillbillies I ever met were not in Texas. They're in Southern Ohio.
Our real culture tends to be urban hip-hop and redneck hayseed, with this thin line of what we consider the rest of us that live in between that.
Wait, what would you classify the people who live in Boston though?
But
meatheads?
Well, they're massholes, but
right.
but when you get into the sticks of Boston, I mean, outside of Boston, you know. So we were talking about this even yesterday. There seems to be city people and country people, and then suburban people are somewhere in between.
But that's feel like because I went to school in Northwestern, which is a suburb of Chicago, and you hear the people who are locals, you hear the Midwest accent.
Sure.
If someone's from Naperville or some suburb like that, more so than people from Chicago, where it just sounds like they sound like they're from New York.
I think
anywhere else.
Yeah. Because I think of a lot of people in Chicago as really, they're like suburban people with big buildings. You know what I mean? Like they do not have the same movement as most, like San Francisco to me seems like city people.
Yeah.
You know? But Chicago is always.
You mean verbally or how they
just everything about them.
I was just talking like speech.
Yeah.
Wise.
Like I think the thing is like, unlike New York, white people and black people really separate from each other in Chicago. Like, they don't know where the other people are or what they do. You know, like, you'll go into a restaurant, you'll be like, it looks like everyone's here's from Iowa, you know? But Chicago's the only place that you can live far out and they still say they live in Chicago.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, they're Chicagoland. They're like 40 miles away. They're like, we live in Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago, the proper Chicago, is very, very still nice Midwestern town.
It is.
Yeah.
Everyone I know from Chicago is not from Chicago. Everyone I know who introduced, when I met them, said, oh, I'm from Chicago, only to find out they were like far, very far from Chicago. It was like bizarre.
Yeah.
That doesn't really bother. People always round up to the nearest city, though. And, you know, some people
well,
will
because
do that
never heard
with New York or whatever, but I feel like that's fine.
Nobody's ever heard where I grew up, so.
But people from New Jersey don't say that they're from New York. They'll say I'm from New Jersey.
No, although I did. There was I was in some class in college, and there was this girl, like the subject of 9/11 came up, and she said I'm from New Jersey, and you could see smoke from certain parts of New Jersey on 9/11. And it's something that
she's a fetishist.
unless you're from this is what she said, unless you're from the tri-state area, you can't know what it was like. So she did the grouping.
9/11 fetishists. I hate the 9/11 fetishists. It gets under my
Still
skin.
hold on to it too long, you think?
They just love to raise the banner, and it's just. Yeah,
Although I've never met a New Yorker who's been to the memorial. It's
I mentor a girl, so I took her to it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would not have gone. And the museum wasn't open yet, but I thought she should see it.
when you're down there, it's like just a lot of people that have made it part of their New York trip.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
they had made reservations like months earlier.
It's the weirdest thing going down there and seeing people like before the memorial just taking pictures like in front of the fence in the rubble, like it's the Statue of Liberty,
smiling,
like smiling. They're smiling like
Wish you were here.
Like it's the Jefferson Memorial or
Let
something.
me get my
They're all just very
selfie stick
proud.
out.
Oh God, yeah.
It's crazy.
But I guess, is that our last great touchstone, though? 9/11? Do we have one since? Does anybody
No.
have
New
a...
York? No.
Yeah, any place in the country.
Boston, the marathon.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Although I shouldn't probably repeat jokes out of context, but my husband has a joke some about how Boston likes to, wrap their flag around that, and it's like, oh, how many people died in the Boston? Oh, just 4. Oh, we had 3,000. Okay, yeah. Sorry about your little tragedy. I like I said, I shouldn't do jokes out of context. Backpedal.
Camry Cruz, she's the founder of QED Astoria. Her memoir, Burn Down the Ground, is available on Amazon.com, and go to QEDAstoria.com for more information. This has been the Innovators of Entertainment segment brought to you by Tito's Handmade Vodka.
Are you saying we're done? Is that it, Chris? Are you
Does that mean
wrapping
I get
us
Tito's
up?
vodka too?
Yes, you do. Everybody who leaves here leaves with some Tito's vodka.
Congratulations.
Yes. So, Dan, you have gone over and done some of these?
At QED, QED is a really great spot.
It's a good room, yeah.
It's a good room, and they get like every time I've been there, it's been a like fun, attentive crowd who seem to really enjoy comedy and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not, a lot of clubs. It's in the city might be people dragged in off the street or
don't
tourists.
speak English.
Right, or tourists who are tricked into coming because they were told it was a Comedy Central taping or something.
Sure.
But here, it's every time I've been there, it's been people who are really into it.
I think
and
they're
all the shows
starved.
I've
That
done there are
part
fun.
of town, Astoria, they're starved for cultural stuff. Like you said, this is the next big neighborhood, and it is, but there isn't anything to do yet.
Right.
And this is one of the few places where there's something to do. And the people who've come to perform are like Sashir Zamata and Jay Farrow, Leslie
there've been a lot
Jones,
of
Kate McKinnon,
great stand-ups.
Judah Friedlander,
Mhm.
John Fugelsang. I could just keep naming
Well,
names.
some of
but,
those
yeah, a lot.
SNL people love to get outside of the straight stand-up as well.
Yeah.
Because they come from more of a diverse performance background. Not that there's anything limited about what you do, Dan.
with my single.
Yeah, when you're
single
just single
prong.
sitting there. Here's a quick joke, followed by a tag. The mathematics of stand-ups.
It's a rigid formula.
Well, I think it's interesting that it's finally changing after all these years. I mean, it's been a lot of years. I mean, we're going back to Catch a Rising Star in the Improv.
Yeah.
Where just here's the way stand-ups act.
Yeah.
Right.
We're about 40 years now before people are going, hey, what if we did something different?
Yeah.
You know?
Right, and not just in terms of the comics, but also in the rooms and where you can perform.
Yeah.
Like, there's not just the one spot, like the Catch Rising Star or wherever, or the Improv, where everyone is. That there are all these different spots where comics of different, styles can go.
So is that better for community or worse, though? Because if you look...
I think it is better.
Yeah.
Because I just think, the more rooms there are, the better. And it also just it gives people more stage time. It also gives just more chances to grow in different environments also.
Yeah.
If there's only one environment, you just have to learn how to play that one thing.
Yeah, I think years ago you would have been like, oh, he's a club comic and he's an alt comic.
Right.
And I definitely think whenever I started working with comics, which is now shuttered in the meatpacking district, comics with an X, bad for radio.
Sure.
Comics with an X kind of got on the map early on because they were doing innovative stuff like booking Flight of the Conchords instead of just straight stand-up for headlining gigs. And we did a lot of really experimental things, quote-unquote alt things, but on a main stage in a club. And I do think now that there is a blending, and as you said, Dan, the more rooms, the better. It gives everybody room to play. And the whole idea for QED is kind of like comics in the little room that I used to run in the basement of comics, Ochi's Lounge, was that you could do whatever the heck you want, be silly, be weird, be fun. As long as the club was making money, it's okay.
Yeah.
And so for QED, I want it to be a safe, fun, cool place to try new stuff. And we'll make our money from the classes and from the bigger shows or rentals. But as long as we're making that rent, then what happens on stage is kind of no holds barred, very fun, almost like an open mic, except an experimental open mic back like in the Surf Reality days. I don't know if you remember them. Where, you could be just avant-garde and try weird things. Like we had a guy from SNL, showed up in a Cookie Monster costume and spoke in this weird accent. Another guy in a cow costume, just silly, weird things that were drop dead funny, hilarious, but I don't know if you could try that if you're getting... the responsibility on you is to get the 2-drink minimum and the cover and fill the room and that pressure. Yeah.
But I'm also wondering now that there's more of a thing for comedians to do different type of things. Will we never get like another Jay Leno or Jerry Seinfeld, guys that are just joke machines because that's what they had to do to move up? I
think that stuff. I mean, with those more options, there might be more like, instead of broadcasting, kind of narrowcasting, because you're playing to a more niche thing. But I think the goal still, as you elevate and grow, is to be able to, maybe not a Leno or Seinfeld type, but to be able to play a broad range of rooms and to not be limited. And there are some comedians who you might consider alts, or maybe started in the like alternative non-club scene, who then you see at clubs all over the city and just kill, and are some of the funniest people. Like Nick Vatterott is one guy who comes to mind.
Twitter is for joke writing. I think that's what the best thing Twitter is for comedians, just to get into that habit of writing
your gag. Here it is. Hold on to it.
So I see a lot of really great joke writers on Twitter, and I think it has created some quote-unquote stars of the Twitter community, people that live out in the suburbs and are moms and have no connection to comedy, who are now like big names because they know how to write a joke.
Although I did like everyone was pushing Stephen Wright to go on Twitter because they're like, hey, it's one-liners, that's all you do, this is perfect. But in Stephen Wright's mind, he's like, you're taking what I've done for 30 years and make me do it for free obsolete.
Right.
It's like, fuck you. So he started a Twitter and he started tweeting a short story, 140 characters at a time for weeks. He's like, fuck you, I'm not going to give out my one-liners that I've been crafting for years.
It's true, because those things would be put together and he would keep it for years.
Right, and would go and play a theater with it and not give it away so someone can reply like, ow, that joke sucks.
They can't all be winners.
Kambri, thank you so much for stopping by today. This was really fun.
Thanks. I'm going to go get my Tito's.
Yes, you're going to get plenty of Tito's now.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's original craft vodka, distilled 6 times from 100% corn and naturally gluten-free. Come visit us at titosvodka.com.
All right, that's it for us today. Thank you so much. We'll see everybody again in 1974.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evening is over. We hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you all again in 1974. Good evening!